2024. Wow, the year already feels different. Amazing. We took last week off, guys. I want to take a couple minutes here as we kind of let the panel shuffle in. I've got about 3 or 4 other guests joining us tonight. Just want to say Happy New Year to everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope everyone enjoyed the last 2 weeks. I know that I did. Very peaceful. Got a lot of gaming in. Got a platinum trophy over the vacation. Got a lot of other trophies over the vacation. It was a lot of fun. Enjoyed the PlayStation Portal. We're going to get into that in a minute. Got a little bit of review to talk about, too, tonight with some of the panel members. A lot of the panel members that are going to be on, some you see right now, and some you see that are joining us later, have some of the hardware that we picked up over the holiday, which I thought was, some of it was good. Some of it, I've got a couple of reviews from the Mooch himself that you'll be shocked to hear, I think. I think you'll be shocked to hear that. But yeah, so I'm going to mention this. I do have a big announcement, by the way. So as everybody kind of trickles in, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, if you will. Of course, right above that amazing description right there. Look at that. That's like a 9th grade English paper written down there. Look at that. That's fantastic. Look at that description. It just tells you what's going on. There's a join button. If you don't mind hitting that, you join the Mooch Maniac family members. Mean the world to me. And we've got a lot of things going on with the channel. I promised you guys as we go into the new year. Well, one of the big announcements that I'm making right now, and I'll say it again in the middle of the show, and then I'll say it again at the end of the show, because I know people will be joining and coming and going as the 2 hours goes by, is, a lot of times I love having a diverse panel. I have a great panel all the time, always made up of some Xbox guys, PlayStation guys, Nintendo guys. I see you out there, Lloyd Metroid, big Nintendo guy. And Fridays are a tough night. Fridays are a tough night for a lot of guests that are on the show. So I've been sitting here and I've been talking with a few people that have been on the panel regularly. And we are going to go ahead and try something here, guys. We are going to have, by the way, say Happy New Year to Robert Smith. See all you guys out there, RPG88. We're going to be moving CrossFire to Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I have talked to a number of people. It's going to be a lot easier to get guests on. Fridays are just tough. Friday nights are hard. And as you get into the summer months, it gets even harder because everybody's out. So we're going to be trying Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern moving forward. I will have this on Twitter for the full week. I'll have it on YouTube, on my page, on the community page. I'll be putting it out over and over the week. It may take a week or two for everyone to kind of get the notion, but we're going to go ahead and try Thursdays at 7. I did this a few times, just so you guys know. You go, well, why? A few times I couldn't make it on a Friday, and I did a Thursday, and I was amazed at how the audience came right over with very little knowledge that we even shifted it that 1 week. And a lot of people said, Thursday works for me. So I'm seeing Domino Zero. That works. JC, RPG88, thank you so much. Welcome to the Major Mooch Maniac family members. You are well missed, buddy. You were with us for a very long time. We miss you in the house. And then I've got another show that I'm working on with another person, and I think you guys are going to really like that. That should be something that happens. I wanted it to happen actually the first week or second week in January. It might be the end of this month. But we'll be announcing that, and we've got skits and all kinds of fun stuff for that as well. So again, I will be mentioning this. Please do let people know if people say that. When does Mooch move CrossFire to? We're going to be moving it to Thursdays again. Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern time, one day ahead. Neil Augusto says that would be awesome. I think a lot of people, and Thursdays are kind of, they're not occupied with a lot of shows. So it would be great to have that time slot. I appreciate all you guys and your support. Starting next week. JC2013 says, is that going to be next week? That's definitely going to be next week. And we're going to roll from there. It's going to be a little more difficult, believe it or not, for me, because you get home from work. I've got to do my due diligence and my homework. I've got to have this show ready by Wednesday now. That's topics. I've got to have the footage. I've got to have a great panel assembled, which we have tonight, by the way. You guys see half the panel here. I will get to this amazing panel, which these guys took their Friday nights to be with me and you guys, so I appreciate them being here. But I do want to say, again, above that description is that join button. It's just so nice. RPG88 joined just now. I want to shout these guys out one by one as we let some of the panel members kind of trickle in. I'm getting messages on Twitter right now from the panel members saying they're on their way. The great Judah Zook, Wooly Gamer, Mumble Ranting Gaming, Tyson Webb 509, True Witty, Alfonso Carter, Brap, who's going to be joining us soon. Jamie, Damien, the great Jimmy Harrison, Andy Hart, Red Hood 420, who's supposed to be joining us very, very shortly. Ham Solo 05, Rob Jones, Night Ripper 7, Toto Dope, Thumbs, JC 2013, who's here in the chat, Passive Prophet, Lord Metroid, who's here, Rabbit got the gun, Fastbender, Archmore, Angel, Biggity 08, Slow-Mo Backslap. Shout out to Slow-Mo and the Great Gaming Forte. So now I will be going just before the Great DPS podcast. So CrossFire, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, DPS with Slow-Mo and Gaming Forte at 9 p.m. What a great back-to-back. There you go, guys. That's a way to enjoy your Thursdays right there. Henry Heck, Ice Queen Gaming, Silent Merc. Shout out to Silent Merc. Our major Mooch Maniacs, again, RPG88, who's just joined the family again. Christian, the Bad Gamer, PlayStation 5, Sweden, 4-Star General, Truth Serum, your boy Roy, Scolari Brothers, Smokes 901, DC Gaming, Miko, Jay Bari, and Gaming with Persona. I don't know if you guys got your seatbelts on, but What's Up PlayStation is returning tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I've got to be on the road. Me and J-Dubs were just talking about this. We travel a lot. I got to travel tomorrow. I will be listening to What's Up PlayStation at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I advise you guys do the same. Tactical Gamer, Danelle Brown, That Guy Smitty, Brian B., a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs. I always say his name wrong, but the love is there. General Thad, Ape, Shadow Assassin, Raji, Domino Zero, who's here with us, the Wise Old Gamer, and our honorable mentions are out there with a food or a toilet. Come home, Edward Jordan, Supreme Samurai, and Julian Johnson, and our forever Mooch Maniacs, Longshot 316, and the great Optimus Code. The great Sir X-Man, the super chat's working. It's a miracle. Good time slot. Mooch, it'll be a good fit. The great Sir X-Man, thank you so much. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to the great Sir X-Man, by the way. We miss him. We got to get him back on the show. That being said, let me get to this amazing panel. I'll go one by one real quick. You already know. I reached out to him today. I had the Mooch symbol in the air from New York. Caught it all the way down in Texas. The great J-Dub City is back with us. Jay, I got to tell you, what a great way to kick off 2024 to have you on the show, buddy. How you doing this evening?
Absolutely. I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Can't complain. It's a great new year. I'm ready to get it started, and what better show to kick off the year, man, than here on CrossFire.
I appreciate that, Jay. It's great to have you with us, and honestly, the topics are going to be absolute fire tonight. I know you're going to get the audience riled up, so that's what
absolutely.
That's what we're here to do to start that gaming weekend. Speaking of that, he's been getting everybody riled up on Twitter, now known as X. The great TCMF is back with us. TC, listen, you are absolutely, you used to just absolutely blow up on YouTube, but now you're blowing up on X. And TC, you know it, and you have an outstanding level of patience, but you put some of the best tweets out there on X for ideology, things that are coming down the pipe, new hardware, software, great images, and I don't know how you just don't combatant all the trolls. But TC, it is great to have you back on Crossfire, buddy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Excited for another round of discussions. I'm hearing it's going to get heated today, so looking forward to that.
So there's always at least 60% of the time it gets heated all the time, TC. It's just the way it is. And speaking of that, it's an honor to have the great B Money back with us. Me and B, big sports fans. B's also doing his thing on the side. Comes and says to me, hey, Mooch, you know what? I can make a couple of Fridays coming up after the holidays. Well, wouldn't it be the same, Mooch, you guys always know, that I'm not going to wait too long to take that advantage of that coupon B gave me. B, I called you right up. Here you are. B, great to have you back on Crossfire, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Doing great, man. It's good to be here. First show of the year. And a lot of great gaming topics to get into. So let's do it.
All right, I appreciate that, B. We're going to get right into it as we get going. I got to tell you, I got a lot of, as you guys could tell, I got a lot of rest. A lot of energy right now in the Mooch household. Lord Metroid says Switch 2 coming in hot in 2024. Love this channel. Thank you, Lord Metroid. JC 2013. Looking forward to another great year, Mooch. Jay, with you being here, there's no doubt that it'll be nothing but great. J-Dub, I got to go with you. I like to put the guests on the hot seat first here. Jay, here we are. And, I've always been a fan of saying, I think sometimes the console wars can be fun, right? It's a good time. PlayStation this generation, and I'm not even, this is not a correlation to say anything against the other platforms, but they've come out, they were under scrutiny with the whole being under T-flops, and then they were under scrutiny about having no games. Then they're under scrutiny about the hardware. The Portal's never going to sell. These earbuds are ridiculous. That's never going to sell. None of this is going to work. Now the PlayStation 5 Pro is at a very, very peak rumor stage, Jay. It's not, when we talked about it 4 or 5 months ago, a lot of uncertainty. Now, Jay, this is kind of coming to fruition. This is happening. Why? Two questions. A, are you interested in a PlayStation 5 Pro? And B, why are we hearing so much disdain? And I'm seeing it from the gaming media. It's not just Twitter. It's all over. Why do I need a Pro? Why do I need something that's going to give me an incremental leap, a very, very small leap, pardon me, into the next 3 or 4 years for that dollar amount, Jay? Where are we as we go into 24 with PlayStation and the PlayStation 5 Pro?
I'll tell you this. I was one of those people that didn't think that it was going to happen this soon.
Mm-hmm.
I thought because of COVID and everything else and the generation, just the way it got started and some of the, I guess, the issues that Sony and Microsoft has had when it comes to allotment of consoles and accessories and everything else. But once that stuff cleared up, I mean, that freaking PlayStation 5 just shot through the roof. And once Jimmy Boy, shout out to Jim Ryan, whether he was fired, laid off, or whatever, who cares? But once they cleared the stock for that stuff, it's just been through the roof. They've been breaking records month after month, NPD, UK numbers, things like that. And they have been facilitating the PlayStation 5 with all their accessories, the DualSense Edge controller with the haptic feedback, the PlayStation VR2, PlayStation Portal. They've been supporting it with all of this stuff, and people all this stuff seems to be selling out all the time. So that begs to say, hey, listen, I guess would you say I wouldn't even say halfway point in the generation, but we're at a significant point where if everybody's buying all these freaking PlayStation 5s, PlayStation 5 is outdoing the PlayStation 4 at this point in time. The trajectory is there. Why not drop a PlayStation 5 Pro? That's going to give you a little bit more, and I say shout out to my man Craig Harris for that. But I think it does go to say that we have Unreal Engine 5 now that's out. We see a lot of those multi-plat games being at 30 frames a second. Yeah, they're pushing the boundary when it comes to resolution and some of the tech visually. But a lot of gamers say, I want my frames, I want my performance mode.
That's right.
And shout out to Sony for providing performance mode, ray tracing and stuff in all of its first party games. It has the next generation features, instant loading, all that stuff. So if they want to continue that with these third party Unreal Engine 5 games and stuff that pushes the boundary, then you're going to have people that's going to want that 60 frames. They're going to want the resolution. They're going to want the expanded ray tracing. They're going to want these things. And who knows, maybe that's Sony way of saying, hey, for those who want that option, this is it. Hey, if you want your 120 frames, here you go. If you want higher fidelity VR, there you go. I mean, so it's just an option out there. Of course, I don't believe the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be the breadwinner for that. I think it's just like the PS4 Pro. It's going to be an option for those who want to take advantage of the 4K and expanded resolution and frames and things like that.
Keyword is option. Keyword is option.
Yes.
It's one of the most annoying things I got to see online. People acting like they got a gun to their head, that Sony's like, you got to buy this thing now. It's like, no, it's an option.
I am all for options. Because here's the thing, right? If you're an Xbox guy and you're in the Xbox ecosystem, you have no options for VR. There is no option for you.
That's right.
If you want to play your Xbox game on a Portal type device, there really isn't an option for you outside of a third party something. But I mean, we know third party can't do it the way first party can. This is why the PlayStation Portal is so unique and it just vibes so well. It takes the DualSense haptic feedback is there. The screen color and saturation and stuff is there. All of the just the nuances of it being a premium PlayStation experience is there. The same with the VR. It's there. Sure, they could have took a third-party device and say, well, third-party, you can do whatever. You can support it if you want to. But there's nothing that's going to show off the power of your console like your own team, right? And I think that's the disadvantage that Microsoft has because its first-party developers aren't even taking advantage of the hardware that it has, right? So they don't have the VR. I mean, hell, the world's most powerful console is getting beat in just sheer performance in a lot of games. So I think that's why I say that's the disadvantage with the Xbox ecosystem. They treat it like, hey, yeah, you can go here, you can do whatever you want, but when are we going to get a first-party studio that really taking full advantage of the Xbox Series X? We probably won't, right? I like that
Series X exists.
Well, that's true.
That's a good point.
But I like the fact that PlayStation caters to its PlayStation 5, and that's the sole reason, and it gives you all the options. Even if you don't want a Portal, guess what? The option is there in the future if you want. Even if you don't want VR and you can't stand it, guess what? That option is there for you to have. I'd rather to have the option and not need it than to need it and not have it. And that's my stance.
That's a good point, Jay. And, you know, TC, I know you're... Brad, we got to welcome the Great Basement Radar Arcade Podcast. Brad, we were talking before the show. Brad, you had a breakfast, lunch, and dinner Brad rant from Christmas till 5 minutes ago. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Brad, welcome to the show, buddy. I know that TC was chomping at the bit. I'm sure that you are too, Brad. But whoever wants to chime in, I think TC said options, and that's what Jay just said, right?
Yeah, I'm chomping at the options bit, and TC brings up a great point. Like we don't do this with other consumer products. It drives me mad. Like we don't do this with like
exactly
a new iPhone.
Do we yell at BMW? Do we yell at Apple? I mean, like, do we yell at LG for making a high end? You know,
I just got my phone last year. They're gonna make me get a new one this? No.
Yeah, like it's like
you don't got it.
It is like it just doesn't make sense to me. It's almost like gamers treat the video game industry differently than they do other consumer products, and it's like it's a consumer product. Like it's not any different. It's an option. No one's forcing you to buy it. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy the PS5 Pro. I talked about Paul Tassie's article today, and I felt like I understand Paul's point, kind of, but my criticism with Paul's article with Forbes yesterday was that conversation about whether or not we need a PS5 Pro and who's going to buy it. It's so nuanced than what Paul was giving credit to. Like it's like there's certain people that are going to buy a PS5 Pro. There's certain people going to be like, no, it's not for me.
Yeah,
so I want to say just for the conversation in terms of not needing a PS5 Pro is mob mentality. So as somebody who's been around social media and the internet, obviously like all of you guys for a long time, one thing that exists is mob mentality. When somebody that you trust says something, it starts to translate and trickle over to other people, and these other people could have audiences of their own. And it just repeats because the most consistent conversation when it came to the PS5 Pro was 8K. Like I'm sitting there, people talking about 8K, and I'm sorry.
Well, TC, real quick, just to your point, like like this the mom. Do we need $300 gaming headsets? You know,
no, exactly. We don't.
But do we need $200? Do we need $200 controllers to play video games? No, we don't.
No, but I'm holding the DualSense Edge right now.
I mean, you know, and I say that facetiously. I say that because it's like people need to understand. Like, just because it's not for you doesn't mean that there isn't a market that wants those high end devices. We see this with every other consumer electronic product, with TVs, with cell phones, with computers, with laptops, with tablets. I mean, like the list goes on and on. The gaming industry has adopted that model. I just don't understand why people are so, this doesn't make sense. Why are we doing this? It's just not for you.
Right. If Sony has no problem making the product, that's on them. The other thing that we're very critical on, Jay said it when he did an outstanding beginning a rant on this topic. Jay said, you know, we have these items there if you want to purchase them. People looked at the PlayStation VR2 and they expected it to sell 10 million in the first month. It's there for the duration, right? It's there for the duration of this generation. And listen, if you want more first-party output from the PSVR2, I'm fine. I'm fine getting in your corner saying, okay, me too. So do I. But guys, I'm telling you, you may not be paying attention because you don't have one. I do. That device legitimately has like almost a game or two coming out every week or two. It's been nonstop. Non-stop games. I think there's 150 some games, if not more by now. That was before around Thanksgiving. Someone gave me that quote in the PSVR2 store. There's a lot of games. So
I just finished the Arizona Sunshine 2 literally yesterday.
I'm literally about 2.5 hours into that one. RE4 is getting my attention right now, but as you can see, it's on screen. That's not my gameplay, but I had to advertise. It's just phenomenal. It's a lot of fun. But B Money, I want to go to B Money here. B, the one thing that I love about podcasting with you is sometimes you give the hard truth, B. So let's play devil's advocate for a second here. Is Sony giving us in this Pro with the specs that we're kind of seeing in Brap. I know Brap's probably got the specs right in front of him. But like B, do you think that for what may end up being 500, 550, I don't have a problem with it because Moochonomics, I'm going to take my current PS5 and I'm going to get 250, 275 for that bad boy as a trade-in. So even if it's 550, I'm upgrading. That's 250, 275 out of pocket for me. But then I'll even get more money when I trade that in for a PS6 down the road. I'm always just up. I'm up value, up value, up value. It's money out of pocket, but realistically, to me, I have no problem with that. B, do you think for the 500, rumored 550 price tag for the PS5 Pro, is Sony going to give us enough of a difference to notice when we get home and play some of these games today and moving forward?
I think we will. I think that's something that they realized that they really didn't do enough of with the PS4 Pro. Is, you know, we got these small incremental adjustments to some of the games where, you know, you saw some small advantages here or there. But I think with them knowing where they need to go as far as, we know that eventually their games will release day and date on PC. So to have a more powerful console and to kind of at least be close to what, you know, a PC player will experience with those same games, I think that's their goal. You could just see what they did with the PS5. Like, a lot of people tried to downplay that whole Mark Cerny conference, you know, where he's trying to explain exactly, you know, what's going on with the PS5 and how they don't really need to have all these extra teraflops to achieve, you know, what they're trying to do. And you see how that's played out throughout this generation. Like, we know that the PlayStation 5 is way less powerful than the Xbox Series X, but it's outperforming it day in and day out in most of these games. So I think
it's not way less powerful. It's like a bit, but yeah.
I mean, it's less powerful at the end of the day. You know what I mean? When you put it on paper, it's less powerful. And anybody who was waving the green flag, that's all they boasted and bragged about, is that they have the most powerful console, and it's supposed to. Oh yeah,
the delta was going to be huge. I remember the delta.
Yeah. You know, it's supposed to be 100 more frames per second and all this other nonsense. You know what I mean? So when you look at it on paper, and you see that the PS5 is outperforming the Series X, you can only imagine what they're going to do with the Pro, just based on the rumor specs that they have, and the adjustment of adding Sony AI to the console and machine learning. Like, there's a lot of advantages that the PS5 Pro could have over just the base console, and could be more future-proof going forward. So I think for the 550 or, you know, even 600, the price point should justify, you know, what they're giving us.
No, B,
I think for most gamers, it's going to be just give me 4K 60 and I'm sold. That's most gamers that I've seen when I talk about this topic.
I just wonder, you know, the 4K 60 thing is one of the conversations. TC, by all means, you have every right to your opinion. I would still think that we would probably still be, I like to use the words also dynamic 4K, but constantly locking in more closer to a 60 frame level. And again, it depends from the people I'm hearing whether games are built around whether they're GPU or CPU intensive. If it's GPU intensive, then the Pro is really going to be able to handle it. The one thing that, because they're not changing the CPU specs drastically, if at all.
It's just overclocked. It's just
overclocked. Correct.
GPU apparently supposedly going to be double the power of what the current PS5 is.
Right, and that stands to reason with what B Money just said. You know, trying to compete with that want to keep up with the Joneses, and the Joneses no longer being Xbox but being PC gamers. The great Kofi has joined us, and the great Jez, the gaming grindhouse, is here. The new year has begun. Great to have both of you guys here.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year,
What's
buddy.
good?
Great to have you. So, you know, guys, I'll start with Jez here, and then Kofi, I want to get your take too. You know, the one thing that I saw, Jez, because we're really talking about some of the console war stuff and the whole PS5 Pro stuff that's going on. I saw the Great Gaming Forte did a poll earlier today, and he said, would you be upset if you were a consumer and PlayStation put out a PS5 Pro and you just got a PlayStation 5? Now, take it as you will. I'm not going to talk about the poll. That was a question he asked. I asked the question. There's also rumors out there that is gaining ground that Xbox wants to have their next, not Pro, but a next generation console in 2026. What if you just picked up a $350 or $399 Xbox Series X and you're playing Forza Horizon 5 on it, and they're already talking next gen. So I don't think this talk about, PS5 Pro is that bad, Jez. I mean, where are you on the PS5 Pro as far as you day one? Jay Dave did a great 10-minute rant on it right in the beginning of the show. But and then Brap and then B Money just kind of absolutely put things in perspective. What do you think though, Jez? Are you going to be getting a Pro?
Yeah, sure. And I remember when we were talking about like when we were doing these updates, you get $350 for a trade-in of a console.
That's right.
Right now, at least for a PS5, and you put that towards the Pro. Like I think they can't talk about the Pro too early. Like I don't think January 8th that they'll be the Pro's coming out because that's coming off the holiday. Like they still got to sell through their inventory. Mm-hmm. I think similar to how they did the the Portal, their new devices, kind of like a month or so. Even the Slim, because you could say too, Mooch, like you're talking about people that just have like, oh no, I just missed it. Like how many people bought the Spider-Man bundle in September and then all of a sudden they had a new design PlayStation with Spider-Man in it with the Slim and whatever the hell they call that thing. Yeah. Now people are like, oh damn, like they got the new model now and I bought the old model. Like it happens. I think with the Pro conversations to about leading up to it, I don't think that they'll start that too soon. Probably near the holidays or when they plan closer to release it, because they don't want people to now wait a whole year for this potential PlayStation at the end of the year. So I'm sure they'll announce it later on. But again, I don't think it will stop anything, because again, if you look at what the PS4 Pro did, it's not going to be the lead console for sales. Like the main one is going to be the PS5. So the Pro was like a fragment of those sales. Like it was just like a 10%. They haven't even individualized them. So like I don't think that this is going to be the next kind of like boom of PlayStations. It's going to be like, hey, if you want it, go get it. Otherwise, the main console's there with the PlayStation base to go buy it. As for Xbox going towards the I've predicted that they will do the same thing they did last year, where the last generation, where the Pro came out and then Microsoft came out with their One X that kind of leapfrogged the power of the Pro, and maybe this time that will be kind of the start of the next generation, or they may not just do generations. They may just kind of just keep doing iterative Xboxes and just kind of time it when PlayStation does their 6, or maybe not. They're kind of like on their own pathway here. So I could see them definitely just kind of like waiting, just like they did with the One X, because they did the same thing. They let PlayStation come out with theirs, and then a year or so later, they came out with their more powerful one.
Yeah, but it's funny because this new Xbox is being rumored to be like this kind of hybrid, right? Where it's going to be cloud / and so maybe they are going to kind of walk to the beat of their own drum. I want to say shout out to Captain Ply. He goes, Mooch, no one at Sony's announced the PS5 Pro. What is everyone talking about? Well, Captain, I don't know if you just woke up. You might still be in 2023. The rumors out there are definitely circulating. You've got Tom Henderson, a lot of other credible people that are really kind of saying this is happening now. Even Paul from, what is it, RD Tech? I can't remember. I apologize. I should know
Red Gaming Tech.
Red Gaming Tech. A bunch of other people have heard this now that are really kind of running with it for weeks and weeks now. And it seems like it's going to be something that comes later this year. I kind of prefer again, guys, if you ever want a traditional slogan that works, it is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And, right now, Jez, what you just said, I think Sony's saying, we'll do a PS5 Pro. That'll get us to like 2027, 2028. Xbox wants to come out with this hybrid machine in 26. That's fine. But are they still going to have to take care of their Xbox Series S customers and their X customers and their new hybrid machine for the next 2 years into that hybrid beginning? So I mean, they still have to cater to these other customers for a while.
I was thinking that too. Like when I heard people talking about like the Microsoft, like the challenge that they have is that if they go too powerful right now with another console, they have now the gamut of this S and this X2, like or X Pro or whatever. Yeah. And now your dynamics of and we're already seeing the S missing out on some features, not getting some performance modes, and things not happening. Same with Baldur's Gate. Certain games just dropping some features on the S. Imagine if they came with a more powerful one, and now you have this huge, vast scale that you have to do it on. I think Microsoft has to wait for their next console to kind of say, hey, that S now does not need to be fully so like you could kind of make games just for the X Pro or something like that. That's probably why they may be leaning towards a longer time frame, because you can't have them that huge power gamut probably between 3 consoles in such a close window.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. I see a lot of people in the chat saying the same thing, actually kind of agreeing. And what was it? Yes, go ahead, Brad, please.
I was going to say, to that point though, I think that's I think that's kind of the big differentiator with Microsoft's strategy, that kind of unification of software amongst multiple platforms, and they can do that because they develop their games on DX, or so it's a very PC centric type approach. So I think for them, it's not necessarily we're Sony like we're trying to sell you hardware. We want to sell you hardware, so we're going to make software that makes you want to buy the hardware. Microsoft's like, yeah, we're just trying to get software into the hands of gamers wherever they are, whether it's an Xbox console, whether it's mobile, whether it's PC. We don't care, and so I don't think that they will. I don't know if Jess said they were going to ban the Xbox Series S, but
not abandon it, but say like you can make themes just for the Pro, like, you know what I mean, like kind of.
I don't know.
It's a wish. The other option though, Brad, is that they could use cloud to say, well, the S will support like you could play these games that we're just going to make for the X2 or whatever on your S, but through the cloud.
The cloud, like accessing like a server blade, kind of like NVIDIA does with the NVIDIA.
So you're not cutting them off, but they have.
Here's the reason why they can't do that. Here's the reason why we're forgetting that more than majority of the Xbox owners this generation have a Series S. So the gamers have spoken. They had a choice to go out and buy the world's most powerful console. They chose to buy the world's weakest console. So they are telling, basically, by their dollars, or saying to Microsoft, we don't care about power.
Split right now, by the way. It is 50-50.
That's I saw 75%.
No, that was like 2 years ago. It was set, but the most recent up to date, it's about a 50-50 split.
Even still, it should be 50-50.
Yeah, even still. What are you going to do? You split your base? That means you're going to cater to the half that wants the power and the half that don't? Because
that's exactly what they're going to do. I mean, again,
but those other people are going to go elsewhere.
It's very PC centric in the sense that you're not gonna scale design. You're to scale resolution, and
that hasn't worked. Think about it. You can go and buy a Series S for like 150 any day of the week. It hasn't worked. You can get the Series X right now for like 350. It's not working. Their sales are just abysmal compared to where they should have been, especially when you compare them to PlayStation, where it's like through the roof, like 300% month after month for the last 3 years.
I don't disagree with you on the sales part. I'm just saying, like, their strategy. That's their strategy, is what I'm saying. Like, I totally agree with you on the sales front. Like, we haven't seen that manifest itself in demand for the Series S. I mean, I think Jay, you and I have talked about this. I think we all agree. Everyone would probably agree on this panel. Like, I think we all thought that Microsoft coming this generation would be more competitive than what they are. We didn't think.
After that Bethesda buyout, I thought they were about to do some. Yeah, they were about to do some damage.
It didn't change anything.
Yeah,
listen. We already know they lose money on the hardware, $100 to $200 on each console sold.
Mm-hmm.
The CFO comes out and he's telling the bankers and investors the strategy of putting games any and everywhere, including rival platforms, PlayStation and Nintendo. He named names and he said what he said. If they don't make money on their hardware, and gamers are elsewhere, the PlayStation, this ecosystem has 175 million people in its ecosystem with the PS4 and the PlayStation 5, right? Nintendo has 135 million people in its ecosystem. Sure, you got PC, but at the end of the day, it looks like Microsoft is trying to cater to the majority and not the minority. So there is a possibility we see the hardware go away, or not go away wholly, but the next Xbox that you will have will be some kind of small streaming stick or some small device. Whereas, hey, go get your PlayStation 5. We don't care. We don't make money on the hardware anyway, but you're going to play our games. You're going to subscribe to Game Pass, or you're going to play Hellblade 2 on PlayStation or Nintendo or PC or wherever anyway. That just seems where people are going anyway.
Well, you are seeing, Jay, just to piggyback off that, and then Kofi, I'll ask you, but you are seeing more and more in our community, just in our community alone. I'm sure it's happening even more outside of the gaming community that we all kind of exist in. I'm seeing more and more Xbox, and I saw Jez just make a joke. Shout out to the great X-Hawk who's here every week. I do appreciate it. But, a lot of the Xbox community are moving to PC. And not that PlayStation guys aren't buying PCs too. They are. But Xbox that's why they say they don't care about the hardware. They don't care if you buy their Xbox. They want you to buy the games. The problem is outside of games like Starfield that have the Bethesda name over it, the games aren't selling that well. I mean, they you know what I mean? I don't believe Forza Horizon, not Forza Horizon, pardon. Forza Horizon I think did well. Forza Motorsport didn't do too well.
Horrible. It did horrible.
It didn't do too well.
Are there numbers for Forza Motorsport? Just curious.
Kofi, I think this.
No, but it didn't even make NPD.
No,
like, it didn't chart anywhere.
They were very silent on engagement numbers, which I think is kind of telling because we know that when a game has high engagement numbers, they will tell us like, hey, this game had X amount of players. So, and what's curious about that particular game is that even the Steam user reviews are low. So. Yeah, I mean, that
game is tough on PC. I had such a difficult time trying to optimize it and getting it to run well.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Like not compared to Horizon. Horizon just ran beautifully. Like boom. Yeah, Forza Motorsport was like, I kept running those, that benchmark, and I was just like, I couldn't. I was like, what's going on with this thing?
Yeah, that's kind of surprising, Jess, to hear. By the way, like that,
Yeah, I don't know, man, because they came out with Forza Apex like back when they were trying. Like, I was very surprised because that's like their premier studio that really demonstrates that engine runs great, and I'm even surprised that it's not like running like absolutely incredible performance on the S. The X. I'm sorry, not the S, but the X. Like, it should have been a showpiece for the X because they always do that.
Jess, it's going back to exactly what I said. Gamers are speaking, and they're speaking loudly. Gamers speak with their wallets. They speak with their attention. And if they're not paying attention, and if they're not caring, and if they don't download a game that's basically free inside of a service to even give it a try, what does that tell you? They're, for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't have the magic reasoning why, but gamers are just bypassing Xbox its games.
Jay, let me ask you this, and Brap, you're a big metrics guy too. We talk about this as last generation was ending and going into this generation. We were talking about we said this on the show. We're like, Microsoft is a very intelligent company. They've got a lot of analysts. They look at the numbers. Jay just made a good point. If the consumer, forget again, and a lot of people in the chat, guys, this is not about, ponies and Xbots. It's not about that. Think about this. We're all consumers at the end of the day. None of us work for these companies. But Brap, if you look at the metrics, you look at the numbers, if the customer has spoken and you're seeing a 3-to-1 in the PlayStation to Xbox ratio right now, console-wise, I think that 3-to-1 ratio is worldwide. I mean, at the end of the day, wouldn't Microsoft say, okay, wait a minute, we did a pivot, we tried this approach, it didn't work. Like Jay said, everybody went to the Xbox Series S. Everyone thought it would probably be a 50-50 going down. It's an Xbox Series S landslide. So that kind of handcuffs Microsoft into a corner. Why is it that Microsoft isn't going to pivot again and maybe go back to if it's not broke, don't fix it? And you might go, Mooch, what are you talking about? What I'm saying to you is the Xbox One era currently is beating the sales of the Xbox Series X and S. And that's combined. That's a $199 console in the S and $349 over the holiday, back to $399 and probably up to $450 in the next 2 weeks. But I'm just trying to say to you, it's a $499 machine is beating it. So if I'm Microsoft and I'm a numbers guy, I'm saying, wait, I guess our pivot didn't really work. And then you might go, well, they don't care if you buy a console. Well, you look at Motorsport, it didn't sell well, and that is one of their flagships. Everybody gives Forza always credit. That in-depth review that was done by John Lindman and all the guys over at Digital Foundry, it was an absolute landslide victory for GT7, which is not even that's a cross-play game between PS4 and PS5.
I was getting hate on that too at the beginning.
And it's been out for years.
Since 2021. But I remember getting hate for that because I was saying at the beginning, after playing GT7, I wanted to give more attention to or try another, sim racer, I tried Motorsport 7. I think that was the last one. There's a bit of a cartoony look to the game, and when I saw a Motorsport 8, it was the same thing. It's not like I was saying that the racing's probably not fun and all of the rest of that is probably not fun. I said the visuals just didn't hit like GT7 does. But that was just how I saw it. And then Digital Foundry did their thing like a lot later. But yeah.
Shout out to Face23. I appreciate the super chat. And Brad, I'll give you the mic. I was actually in Face. If you're in the chat, you don't have to send another super chat, but I appreciate this one. He says all games this gen third party. And I think, again, I'm piecing this together. And first party has a performance mode except for Gotham Knights. Now, Face, I'm not sure if you were talking about a specific game. He did send the super chat in 20 minutes ago. I apologize, Face. And then Cheek Clapper. Gotta love the names. Blah, blah, blah. Just give me my pro. I'm happy. And then X-Hawk, which I love how... Jazz, you may have renamed him PC Hawk. He says,
no, he is PC Hawk. He told me he plays on PC.
Okay, so PC Hawk, he says, why did
PC Hawk.
Sony cancel The Last of Us multiplayer? Didn't they know it would be a games as a service game? X-Hawk, we'll get into that in a minute, but go ahead, Brap. I took the mic from you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's the whole Microsoft thing's kind of interesting because you talk about like they're not selling well. There's low demand for their hardware, but I don't think they're gonna. I think eventually they'll pull out of hardware. They're not going to do it right now because there is a segment of the fan base, if you will, that is going to interact with Microsoft via Xbox hardware, and so they don't want to necessarily cannibalize that right away. And I also don't believe that. I see some people say, "Oh, they don't care about hardware sales." They do to an extent because they're spending money to manufacture, hardware. The thing with them is to me at least, the Xbox business is more aligning with the overall business strategy of Microsoft. They are a software company. They don't believe in hardware per se. They want to bring their software in as many platforms as possible to maximize adoption of their software. We see this with Windows. We see this with their other products. We saw them kind of pivot away from Windows Phone. So I think this is just within their DNA, and this almost seems like a last-ditch effort to, because Microsoft's always been involved in gaming. That's the other thing people don't remember. Like they've always been involved in PC gaming. Like that's Ed Freeze talks about it.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're ever going to exit gaming, but I think that what we're seeing, this pivot, is them putting themselves in a position where you have to interact with Microsoft in any kind of way to access gaming content. And I think that's why you see these billion-dollar acquisitions of big publishers, because they want you to, whether you're playing Call of Duty on PlayStation 5, well, guess what? Now you have to go through Microsoft to access that game. And that's what they care about. They care about the access. Where do you have to go to access these big titles, these titles that have a huge number of engagement? That's why they bought Minecraft. So I think this is just their pivot. It's just different. You have companies, you have the big three in console gaming that have really different philosophies. And I think they're going to work well for each company based on whatever goals, metrics they have in place.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget about Nintendo. Like, people are, Sony's behind the ball. Well, what is Nintendo?
Right,
if Sony's behind the ball, then Nintendo must be in the Stone Age yet. I mean, Nintendo's doing just fine. Each company's carved out their own niche, if you will. And I think that's what Microsoft's trying to do right now with their, their pivot away from focusing on hardware. Like Phil said, like we're not going to out-console Sony and Nintendo. That should be telling to people. But I will say this: if you're on the Xbox and you care about console gaming, you should probably be paying attention a little bit to what they're saying to you.
Yeah.
Because if you're a console gamer, like, what does that mean for you as a console gamer? Like, is this where you want to be? If the console gaming experience is what you want, is centered to your gaming experience, is Xbox the right place for you? Maybe, maybe not.
I think you're right.
If you're a console gamer and you're on Xbox, all you have to do is look at all the other Microsoft products, hardware products that Microsoft has released, and see if they have been successful. If you go down the line, you will notice a pattern. They have not been. I've been telling Brap this for years. People do not care about Xbox. It's just a fact. They had one great generation where they sold 80 million consoles. It will never happen again.
Yeah.
It's just a fact.
Oh damn.
Well, it's funny. It's funny. B says that, but when you do look at the history of the things that they've purchased, I will say this much. B, I am impressed that Microsoft is doubled down with the investment of these acquisitions, right? B, so that's the one thing I will say. Whereas when they went
that's hard because that's software and that's what they're good at.
that is true.
Yeah, that and B has really been saying this for years on Brat, by the way. Like B and I have been podcasting for almost 10 years. He's been saying this for a long time, and B's right. Like I always say, like if you're a diehard console gamer, like you need to be paying attention because I think the route Microsoft is taking, outside of some established big AAA games that they have because through acquisition, the type of games they provide may be different than what you may want from a digital console perspective, or and if you're that consumer, I think it's fair to say, wait a minute, well, like what's happening here? I think there's a segment of the consumer market that this strategy will work for. I don't know if this is going to work for consumers for the things that B mentioned. We saw this like B. I think you would agree with this. Like, remember they bought Nokia, and then as we went down the timeline with Nokia, what happened? And Windows Phone, we started seeing we want those apps on Apple now and on Android, and maybe Windows Phone isn't the focus anymore. And that's what I keep telling people. Like, look at the lessons from, look at the decisions from Microsoft. B, I think you probably agree with this. Like, look what they've done with other hardware. I mean, they're kind of scaling back a little bit with the Surface tablet,
Right.
because
Absolutely.
HoloLens is done.
Yeah, for the reasons you mentioned, B Money, they are a software company. They are going to invest in things that and Satya even said this. Like he's like, I don't want exclusives. Like it doesn't make sense to me. I want my software everywhere.
But no, it's funny too. I was looking at I saw a lot. I follow the Windows.
By the way, I'm not saying it's a bad
Windows
thing. I just want to say it's not a bad thing. It's just different. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Right.
and I saw that the whole thing with having AI and having that button put on OEMs on their computers. I saw a lot of things like their push for AI this year, and people are like, oh, they're going to put a dedicated button on laptops this year. And there was a lot of kind of animosity. A lot of people that were just like upset. They're like, I think it was Zach Bowen, who's on Windows Central, was just like, wow, I didn't realize so many people are against this. And there was a lot of comments of like their history, just the way like they try to force something or they try to roll out something to get all behind it. Microsoft just like touts this thing as this is the next big thing, and then they don't support it. It doesn't get the adoption that it needs from the developers. That's always the issue, and the support that it needs, and then they just drop it. And they just did this recently with their whole virtual reality push, where they had Samsung making headsets and Asus and all these headsets that they were going to integrate into Windows 11. It was a big push for 11 with this AR and everything, and they just kind of left it out there. They never really supported it on Windows. They just kind of just left the app there. Nobody jumped on it, and now they just nixed it. So all those OEMs that made those AR devices, they just dropped off now. So HP, Samsung, they were selling them all the time, and really Meta has been leading now with this with their pushing now with AR and showing the potential there, and Microsoft couldn't do it, even having that in their operating system. And they just announced they just nixed that whole thing. So they do have a history, just like what B Money said. Like they do have a history with just kind of not really getting a lot of people. Cortana, another thing,
Mixer?
like they really can integrate a Mixer.
God,
like there's so many.
Cortana.
Yeah, Cortana. They Windows Phone. Connect as well. They bought that company for Connect, and they couldn't do it. They just have a history of just abandoning stuff and just hoping that developers are going to jump on board because they're excited about it, or Microsoft just kind of just backs off and just hopes everybody else just kind of autopilots it. Yeah, and they don't do it. And then when Microsoft looks at it, going, "Oh, nobody's supporting this thing. All right, nix it." Not saying they're going to do that with the console, but they have a history of hyping up things that are the next best thing. Because remember, it was cloud a few years ago. Now it's AI. And what happened to cloud? Are we still doing cloud? It's like, well, yeah, cloud's there, but it's AI. And now every word out of his mouth is AI.
Well, I think cloud's still a very centric part of Microsoft's business. It's a very big part.
Oh, it is, but yeah, they don't. Satya talks AI every breath now.
Yeah, AI is the next big thing. But yeah. To your point, Jess. Like I just want to say something like to people, because I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, you guys are just hating on Microsoft." No, I mean, like these are tangible examples that we're providing of Microsoft's behavior as a company and their strategy overall. It's not hate. It's just Like read the tea leaves.
It's what
Listen to
happened.
Phil's, exactly.
It's not lies. Like Jesus.
Listen to what Phil is saying to you. We can't out console
happened?
Sony. We can't out console Nintendo. We could release an 11 out of 10 game. It's not going to move consoles. Like, what is he telling you? Think about if you're a console consumer. Listen to what that. Like,
that's a good point.
Like, think about what that means. Like, think about that for a second.
Yeah, really quick. I want to piggyback on that because I think J-Dub's example of the base being split between the S and the X reminds me of why there are, like, under my skin, there's a boiling fear that the streaming solution will be something that Xbox will try more and more. And it comes to just getting around hardware limitations. When I think of something like Baldur's Gate 3 having certain issues with releasing on the Xbox, I think that's money Xbox could have said, hey, we could have had maybe that not that many players would have purchased Baldur's Gate 3 on Xbox, but you lost that opportunity when it had all the hype during the summer, and they finally got it out late last year. But what if there was a streaming solution that had less hardware limitations and people could still access that game? So when it comes to next gen, I think they're going to make that available. I think J-Dub mentioned some sort of streaming device that could remind you of Stadia, but it would be in the Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah.
And any game that comes out, there won't be a hardware limitation. Now there'll be lag, and that, as a consumer, for me who likes to own my discs, that makes me furious. I don't want them going in that direction, but they could honestly step away from that ever happening again, right? Or in any third-party developer that's like, hey, Monster Hunter Wilds, the new one coming out next year, it runs great on the next PlayStation device, but we've got this issue where Xbox is now split between these two different hardwares. Yeah. If they dabble in a streaming solution, they could always make sure some server blade doesn't have that. And it's a great solution technically. I hate it from a performance perspective. So I think this is a dilemma that they're just going to try. They have to try that.
That's an interesting point. The other thing, and I'll kind of segue into the next topic that we have here, is that it kind of correlates. It goes hand in hand. Is when it comes down to it, I don't know about you guys, I like to go to a certain place for a certain type of food or a certain type of item. Like when you want a steak, you go to a steakhouse. You want an Italian dish, you go to an authentic mom and pop Italian restaurant. You know what I mean? When you want to go gaming, a lot of people are in the chat every week. What do? They make fun of PSVR2. They make fun of the Portal. They make fun of the earbuds. They make fun of the Pulse headset that's coming out next month. My point is that PlayStation, from the beginning of this generation all the way through the end of this generation, and now there's a Pro coming at the end of this year, they continuously give you things as a hardcore gamer, things that you may or may not. You may say, I don't want those, Mooch. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not here to sales pitch it to you. I'm just saying to you, they continuously give you all of these options that all are in the world of gaming. J-Dub and I were talking before the show. Xbox didn't do a dedicated VR headset. They don't have their own dedicated handheld. I don't care. I understand that you can play on the ROG Ally. I understand that you can play on Steam Deck.
Legion Go, baby. I love that Legion Go.
Right. Well, but yeah, you can play there. But I'm just trying to say they are legitimately not. It doesn't seem like they're always all in.
No, they just updated the Xbox app to do like a small screen mode, but it's the operating system that they really need to just do like a small screen mode, especially now that MSI now supposedly doing one too. But that's why I think the Legion Go, I prefer it better because it has a larger screen, so it doesn't make Windows as horrible on a touchscreen, but that still needs fixing. Windows on a touchscreen. So
now I want to transition over to some of the PlayStation devices that have come out this year. I kind of want to do like a year review. Here it is. It's the first week, guys. It's January 5th, 2024. Let's talk a little bit about how the end of 23 wrapped up. Again, PlayStation coming out with PlayStation Portal and the earbuds. Now, J-Dub, I want to ask you what your take is. I know you buy every device. You at least try it out. Now, if something's really bad, you'll return it. But, Jay, where were you on the Portal and the earbuds? Because I think me and you are going to meet right down the middle on this one. I already know how Jez feels. I've had me and him talked over the holiday. We have one issue with one of them, but Jay, what did you think of those two primary products that you got in the last month and a half?
Well, I'll tell you I mean, the day that they were released and I got them in my hands, I'm a believer. And I'm not a guy that cares about streaming or streaming my games or anything like that. I'm not that type of guy. But the product works. And I thoroughly enjoy it. I like I told you before the show, I spent a lot of time playing playing on my portal more so than I thought I would, and which is crazy. You know, I got a freaking big projector game room and everything, but I'd rather just lounge around in bed or just lay on the couch and just sit there and play it. I got my earbuds in my ear and they work. Don't give me any issues. Like I'm totally content with the experience I have. But guess what? It requires that I have a PlayStation 5. So that means even though they're offering me these different ways of gaming, the central focus is still around the PlayStation 5. I'm still latched to my PlayStation 5. The focus is still on my PlayStation 5. So I think that was probably, and there's a lot of naysayers, and I know there was a lot of reluctance of this stuff, but it may not be for you. And I'm quick to tell anybody, it may not be for you.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, it's for me. PSVR2 is for me. The DualSense Edge controller is for me. The PlayStation Portal is for me. The PlayStation earbuds, the Explorer earbuds, it's for me.
Right.
And I can only give you with my experience. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and I continue to play it. And I'm gonna be honest, it takes some huge balls for a company to go out and say, "Hey, we're gonna spend all this R&D and all this money on all of this hardware within the first 3 years of a console cycle. We're just gonna bombard the gamers with all of this hardware, the console, the controllers, the PlayStation Portal remote player, and earphones, and the damn in-zone monitors, and all kind of hardware that they have." That shows you that Sony is not only doubling but triple down on PlayStation in supporting that platform and supporting the ecosystem around that particular platform by giving people various ways to play their PlayStation, to enhance their experience, from the audio to the visual to everything. And it works. And that gives me confidence as a PlayStation 5 owner saying, yeah, this shit is going to be here for a while, because they're not just investing in all of this stuff just to make it go away. On the flip side, when you look at the competition, I mean, think about it. This year, we know we got a PS5 Pro coming. That even furthers my point. But Nintendo, they have a Switch 2 coming.
That's right.
Right? We know they got a sequel to the Switch coming, so we know people are going to be excited and ecstatic for that. But then on the Xbox side, Phil Spencer's out there. Yeah, we don't see a reason for a mid-gen refresh. We're good with what we got, and I think that kind of lets the air out a little bit. It's like, are they really in the long run for the hardware, especially the way that they've spent the last 3 years telling you to play on a Samsung TV, to play on a web browser, to play on the phone, play on the tablet, play any and everywhere. Phil Spencer giving the interview saying that they can't beat Sony, they can't beat Nintendo, and the and him all coming out, the CFO come out saying that we look at PlayStation and Nintendo as customers and as part of our ecosystem, right. And like that doesn't cement me into the Xbox ecosystem with the console, right? And I think that's a problem with me. A diehard, I'm a console guy. Yes, I have the highest of the highest PC. Yes, I own any and everything, but I'm a console guy at heart. And so this console, it just may go away. And there is nothing that Xbox is doing, Microsoft is doing right now that says, hey, yeah, this is for the long run. They're going to support this thing for the long run. It's just nothing about it. Yeah. They're telling me you don't even have to buy an Xbox. Just get Game Pass and go play it on whatever else you want. Like, that just really, it just kind of irks me. And maybe that's just me, but it just really
grinds your gears.
Yeah.
It grinds my gears.
There you go.
Well, it's come down to what we always said a long time ago. It just seems like Microsoft's going in that direction, and that's fine. If they're content with that and they're making money on it, that's fine for them. But you can't be, and I see a lot of people in the chat go, well, Mooch, how come you're, it's not that I prefer one company over the, it's not, it's just when you look at when we went from the Xbox 360 era, B Money said this, and they had a successful console there. And then when you look at the beginning, and you guys can go ahead and make fun of Kinect and go ahead and make fun of all the stuff you want. But when you look at how Xbox One launched, they still had a lot of decent games. And then right now, when you go, well, Mooch, they have a lot of good games now. They've got, Hi-Fi Rush, and they've got Starfield. Well, yeah, they went and bought the teams, and the games are coming out 6 months to a year later. Okay, boom. I get it. There's still Xbox games. I get it. But I'm saying to you, when you look at it at the end of the day, what Jay just said, where they're going to be a hybrid, the rumors it's going to be a hybrid, and it's going to be cloud, and it's going to be this. They're stepping away from the way that I grew up gaming. And you might go, well, things are going to change. That's fine. But Nintendo seemingly isn't changing. The Switch 2 is rumored to be basically an enhanced Switch 1. It's like a Switch Pro.
All they need.
Yep.
Which is all they need, right? But so what do we always do online in the community? We give Nintendo their flowers all the time. Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if we say that for Nintendo and Sony does it, was Sony supposed to follow Microsoft? No, Microsoft's also not supposed to follow Sony. But you can't get upset with somebody who's been gaming for a very long time that prefers the route that Nintendo and Sony are going. And I love the way Xbox did in the 360. And I loved what the Xbox did in the Xbox One era in the beginning. I didn't have a problem with that. It was right around the middle of the Xbox One era where they just kind of pivot.
They literally gave up. They literally gave up. They spent 3 years not investing or doing anything. And this was Microsoft's own mouth. So, yeah.
So, and I mean, now getting back to the products, I do want to say, though, I really, really do. I really, really do like the Portal. The Portal's amazing. I got a platinum playing the Portal over the holidays. Been playing, as you guys can see right now, I'm playing Remnant 2. Shout out to the great Ash and Luca.
Oh, yes. Remnant 2.
Yes. Shout out to Kofi as well. Great to have Kofi.
Dude, I got 400 hours in the game.
Kofi,
I can't say enough.
I've only got about like 25 or 30, but trust me, I might not get to 400, but I'm definitely going to cross the 100 mark easily. Shout out to the Ash and Luca. Shout out to Slow Mo. Shout out to Forte and Kofi, who's here, who got me just amped to play this game. And I'm finally. But again, I'm watching football. A lot of this game, Remnant 2, is grinding. So a lot of it is going out there, I go through the levels over and over, grab a lot of the scrap, the currency, if you would, materials, and then I go back and I load up my character. I go back. And so I get to do this stuff while watching football, while watching some shows over the holidays, kids, family coming over, occupying the TV. Love the device. I will say one thing. The one thing I didn't really like, and I did return it, I didn't like the earbuds very much. And you guys know I've been talking about the earbuds on this show now for about a month and change. The Pulse 3D
was
the Explorer earbuds. Listen, maybe I just didn't get the best. Mine may have been slightly defective. I'm not even going to say that. It wasn't that it was defective. I noticed every once in a while the right ear would disconnect and then quickly reconnect. I lost connection every once in a while with my PlayStation 5, not the Portal, but the PlayStation 5 using the dongle, if you will. The other thing is I found it uncomfortable a bit. The way that it's set in my ear, it wasn't necessarily the most comfortable thing. I also didn't care, honestly, for the fact that it wasn't noise canceling. And I know I watched a lot of the reviews like you guys did too, but at $200, shoot, if I'm one of those people that if it's a service I like or a product I like, I don't mind paying for it, right? If it gives me what I want. Charge $225 and make it noise canceling. The fact that it didn't have noise canceling kind of irked me a little bit. But really, it was the uncomfortability. I didn't find them that comfortable sitting in my ear. And the other thing was I travel with them, right? They connect to your phone. There's a lot of really cool things that it does do. And the case on it, as cool as it does look, it's not great for throwing in your pocket and just, traveling. So I did end up returning them. I'm going to get the Pulse over the head headset that has the Link, services within it, so I can use it with because I do want to have a portable wireless answer for playing my Portal without having the 3.5 millimeter jack. Jez, I'll give it to you, Jez. I did listen to you as well on your channel. But I think maybe you even did a better job of describing some of your issues.
Yeah, I had the same things with the the Portal. I feel that having the Legion Go, the Ace Ally, and the Steam Deck, I think the Portal definitely has the best ergonomics, like up there with the Steam Deck, because the Portal is actually a controller with a screen on it. So and around the house, I think that's where the Portal is like the best. Like you said, like upstairs watching TV, doing that. Away from the house, it's hit or miss depending on where you're gonna be. So if you want to, like, instead of getting another console for another room because you want to play on another room, the Portal is probably like a good thing to use where you could kind of play it while you're not in front of your PlayStation. And the fact that it has the DualSense, all the DualSense features and everything like that, you're not missing out too much on there, and it runs great when you're on your own Wi-Fi. But with the buds, yeah, I have the same issue. I didn't think that they were. I like go through headsets like crazy, and I test out everything, and I just didn't feel like they didn't have a great like boom. They had the planar drivers, which are really, it was like the first buds to have those drivers on it, because they purchased, I think, Max. I forgot what the company is called. It's called Max. Maxine. I forgot what it's called. Somewhat Max, but they have the planar drivers in it, and they're supposedly giving you like clearer, higher, a better sound. I just didn't feel the thump. Like, I went between those, like in Spider-Man. I just didn't like them, and they didn't sit right to give me enough of that bass. And they weren't very comfortable. And like, with the noise canceling, I'm trying to find those the H9 the buds, the in-zone buds. Yeah. Those things have been sold out, but those I want to try, because those don't have noise canceling, and I think they have a better sound. The only issue with those is that they do use a special type of Bluetooth that be found low latency Bluetooth that's in newer phones. So if you have an older phone like 3 years ago, the Bluetooth connection may not work. But if you just use them for gaming and PC gaming, they have their dongle, and you could use that there. And I heard that the software is great with those, and those I think may be better. They're the same price too than the buds. But I'm looking forward to the over-the-ear headphones, or these. That's who it is. Thank you, Truth Serum. Or these. They did that one, because or these Maxwell. That's what it is. I'm sorry. The Maxwell headsets were very popular on the internet. But Audie's Maxwell, and they purchased that company and did that. But yeah, I would say try for the Link Buds. I haven't had those. I don't know if JW had those. The Link Buds. What do they call it? The in-zone buds. But I'm definitely looking forward to the over-the-head ones. Plus, they're $150. I think it's a great price for them, and they have a boom headset, a boom microphone, which will be better than the Pulse that we got at launch, because now the boom will give you a better, probably deeper microphone sound by having that boom microphone rather than having just the microphones around the ear cup. So I'm looking forward for those. But yeah, I didn't like the buds, the buds for there. But that's kind of the only way you could do wireless headsets. So with the Portal, so they kind of got you with that. Little gymnast there.
The only problem with the in zones, and Jay and TC B Money, I don't know if you guys have the in zones, or if
I don't have them, they're sold out.
Right, or if you have the, I'm just curious to hear what the TC or Jay or B might think. I don't know, Kofi, if you have them. I know Brap wasn't high on getting them in the first place.
I didn't get the in zone ones because I wanted the ones that was designed specifically for the Portal.
Me too, Jay.
Yeah, it doesn't work with the Portal. You're right. Those don't work with the Portal. They don't have that link.
That's why the in zones for me are kind of a no-go. I wanted something that I can, because I have plenty of headsets that work really great with my PlayStation, so I don't need that. I really wanted something that was going to be portable on the go earbud that would work with the Portal. Not really thrilled with the Pulse version of those. But Jay, are you enjoying your earbuds? Listen, just because
I am,
I didn't doesn't mean others don't. Yeah.
And I agree with you. That's why I say not everything is for everybody. Some people, the capsules that go in your ears, sometimes the earbuds or whatever can be heavy to a lot of people. Everyone is different when it comes to audio and headphones and stuff like that. A lot of times I have to get bigger headphones because I hate when headphones are tight on my ears. They kind of make my ears sore after a while, so I don't like those type of headphones. So it's all subjective, but I haven't had any issues.
Yours didn't. Jay, did yours disconnect and connect while you're playing a game?
I did have that happen one time, but I looked online and come to find out it's because we have them turned. You have them turned up instead of down. It's actually a way you're supposed to have them on your ear.
Okay, I
watched the actual thing is supposed to be down. Sometimes they show it in the picture. If you look online, it's pointing upwards. Then it's not that way. You're supposed to have it pointing down. So I think that's poor. I guess that's poor marketing. They didn't explain stuff like that. They didn't explain that to customers and stuff like that.
It is tricky getting them in your ear. Like try to figure out
I figured that out. And one thing I don't like about them is if you want to adjust the volume, because it has the link button on one side and the volume button on the other, especially if you have big fingers, how the hell are you supposed to know which button is which?
Mhm.
So, but you can still control the audio on the device itself. But it's nitpicking. But no, I really didn't have any issues. Like when I first got them, I looked in the little thing and it was pointing up, and so I stuck them up, and I did get the disconnect.
Mhm.
But then I've seen online, if you point them down, that's where it's supposed to be. That's the proper way to do it. So, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's a sensor that's in them that it kind of basically says every time you remove it from your ear, it disconnects, and then you put it back in your ear, it instantly connects again. I think maybe maybe they need to do something, a firmware update or something, or just explain to people how you're supposed to wear them so you won't get disconnected.
Okay, and like you say, that's something that was just. I agree with you, Jay. Maybe that was the case. I definitely messed around with them a bunch of different ways. I watched a video where actually I can't remember. I think it was you guys got to. I watch them all the time. Above your average consumer.
Yeah,
awesome.
Your average consumer. He's been like forever.
Yeah,
like,
awesome. And he was like, you got to make sure you're wearing them the right way. And so this and that. And I actually thought I was doing it the right way, but nonetheless, it just didn't. It didn't do. And I got to tell you, the noise canceling. Jay, we were talking about it. A lot of times we're playing Portal because the family's utilizing the other TV in the room, right? So
zone them out.
I want to kind of want to get immersed into this game, and I can't do that when I was playing a game and having a full conversation with a family member. You know what I mean? Like that takes a little bit away from me because whether you're getting into your music or you're getting into your games, your movies, whatever it is. How much? Here's the good news. Domino Zero, great question. I saw some of the super chats. I'll get to them in a second. I appreciate all the super chats, by the way. I believe the Pulse headset that comes out in February is
noise cancel. It has noise.
That's $150,
and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
And it's cheaper.
So I said, you know what? The hell with it. The minute that goes up for pre-order, shout out to the great Zuby Tech.
I'm getting that one.
Zuby always DMs me, Mooch, they're going up for order, so I appreciate the great Zuby Tech. Yeah. I will definitely be grabbing those.
The only downside, Mooch, is just like you said earlier, you and I travel. Yes. I don't want to have to lug around a pouch for my headphones.
Yes.
I got my Explorer buds in my pocket. Yes. I got my PlayStation Portal. I'm good to go. So it's all subjective. It's to the user and it's their use case. But I do think Sony need to do a firmware update or do something to let people know how to use these earbuds, and if there's a ton of drops and stuff like that, they definitely need to fix that. But I do.
It shouldn't be that complicated.
No, it shouldn't.
But their shape is so weird. That's the thing. Like
the boomerang.
It's a boomerang shape, and it's so strange. Yeah. Like I was looking at photos and trying. How the hell I get this in my ear? And they have it stay in the ear.
Because I saw a picture, and the little one piece point, the tip of the piece points up. But then I seen online, no, it's supposed to be pointing down. If you point it up, it's not making full contact, or it's a sensor or something that tells
there's a sensor in-ear sensor on it.
Yeah, that tells it that. So it's like, well, that's dumb. Why didn't they tell us this or explain that to us?
Are you positive that's the reason?
Well, that's what I found out online, so it works for me. I'm only giving you my experience. So after I started pointing them down, no more connects. I got literally no connects, no disconnects at all.
Me, I've had a bunch of disconnects with the earbuds, so much so that I thought I had a defective one and got a second one, and that one also had the same.
However, you put them in your ear, turn the tip side of it.
Yeah,
turn it facing down instead of upwards, and give that a try. Just give it a try. It works for me. I'm just assuming, yeah.
So me, I have weird ears. I've always had weird ears. So I actually have the left one up.
Come on, Dr. Spock. Dr. Spock.
Internally, I don't know. Just for the left one, I always had it up. For the right one, I always had it down. It just fit more comfortably in my ear. Like that, but I still had the disconnects on both. The setup for it was also confusing at the beginning. I didn't even know the USB was a button. I had no clue that it was a button that you actually press. I guess I missed that somewhere. and that's how you connect it to the PS5, and then
Yeah.
that's how you connect it back to the portal. Because I was looking, usually when you have dongles, you have like some type of like known button or a switch or something like that on there. This had none of that on there. So I found out online it was a button. I shouldn't need to do any of that shit for a company that produces audio devices. Some of the best on the market.
They did a piss poor job with explaining it, but also I will say this, and you know, it could be my fault, but I also, you know, kind of like most men, you know, we'll just try something without reading the instruction manual, without looking at it, and then if we can't figure it out, then we'll go back in the box after we tore it up, and then
but I didn't
actually read.
I didn't see anything in the box that really helped that much.
Explain it. Yeah, it has a QR code on the little thing.
It does have a QR code.
Even online,
man. I hate when they don't include a booklet. It's like scan this and go online and figure it out. But no.
Yeah, we don't. Jay said that. That's a guy thing. I guess we just don't do that.
Step.
We definitely don't read the instructions. But I gotta say this much. How about this? And Jez, outstanding job on your channel to cover this. But I gotta say, opening that box was like solving a Rubik's Cube.
Oh yeah,
dude! I ripped that thing open. Oh my god, that thing was ridiculous. I went from the top. Oh my god, they put the quality seal. The Herman Holtz quality seal is on the top. I'm like, okay, you got to break the quality seal. No, you got to go from the bottom. It was an ass backwards box.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, "What is
I ripped the shit out of that thing."
And I ended up returning it. You should have seen the arts and crafts time I had to do putting it back together.
Yeah, that was my case. The one I had to return to.
You know,
I don't know that. I ripped open that box. It looked like my dog got at it. I'm like, hope they take it back.
I think we can all agree this the way they packaged it, the instructions and everything was not Sony's finest moment. Which is crazy because it was the opposite with the Portal. The Portal was just smooth, great packaging.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah,
everything just worked. It was flawless. You didn't need any instructions, but a goddamn pair of earbuds is just like you got to be a rocket scientist to.
It was crazy.
It's crazy.
Yo, shout out to
aside from all of the. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, TC.
Aside from those issues, for me, I didn't return them. I kept them. I'm using them right now. I'm literally playing on my TV while I'm talking to you guys here.
Oh, really?
I personally enjoy them because it's connected to my PS5 and connected to my iPad where I'm talking to you guys. And
so this is the microphone from the Buds?
Yeah.
Are you using it?
Wow.
They did have a good microphone. That was the one thing I was going to say. They did have a good microphone when I listened to the playback of it for Buds, definitely.
I did. Every review said the microphone was outstanding, and I got to tell you something, TC. If you didn't say that, I mean, it does sound like you're on some sort of a USB microphone. I mean, it doesn't sound like you're at all on a pair of earbuds.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
That was the one thing
I played with online. Yeah, it's been pretty good so far.
I hope they use that same technology in the overhead, the over the ear headset.
They got a boom microphone too, man. I think it's gonna be great. I'm gonna use it for broadcast. Like, I hope I could use it for streaming and stuff.
You know, I really do hope that's the truth. Shout out to True Witty. He says, and this is going back, so we're not going to go into this one again, but he says, I believe Microsoft will exit consoles, not gaming, though. I think True Witty's right. They will definitely be in gaming for quite some time, especially with the acquisitions. Teabag, the respectful. Great show, guys. Hit the like button. Please do hit the like button. Guys, while we do have 350 people here, I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. I do want to say it real quick. I'm not going to take as much time, but CrossFire is going to be moving to Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to be moving permanently to Thursdays and trying that for quite some time. It really, really helps with getting guests on the show. Friday nights are really, really difficult. Bit for myself, but a lot in getting guests. It's been something I've been doing for about a year now, and it's been a bit of a struggle. So we're going to move to Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be putting that on Twitter all week long. I'll have it on my channel in the community section on YouTube as well. But guys, I do want to reiterate, I told you I would say it at the beginning, the middle, and the end. Shout out to Teabag. He's back again. He goes in-zone earbuds over the Pulse Explore buds. I think quality-wise, T, you're right. I think as far as other, what's the word I'm looking for? Preferred, not accessories, but preferred, like the link access. We wanted to have that for the Portal. I think that was the big selling point. But like TC just said, that microphone he's got right now is absolutely exquisite. The great Andy Hart, he says, Happy New Year all. Andy, thank you so much. Danelle Brown, this is for Brap. Brap will like this one. He says, now I know why I like Brap. He goes, my birthday is New Year's, and his is a few days later. Happy birthday. By the way, shout out and happy birthday to the great Basement Radio Arcade podcast.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
He
Thank
says,
you.
I'll listen to the show tomorrow. I
Red
have to watch
Sticks.
my Clippers. And then he says, B
Happy
Money.
birthday, brother.
B,
Thank you.
B, Donnell Brown is asking that you trade. He wants Fields over to his Raiders. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen. So the great Donnell Brown. And yes,
I
again,
don't know. We need Washington to win.
we do need
This
Washington to
weekend.
win so we can get the second pick.
No, we don't. We
right.
don't need Washington to win.
No, we
the
do need
Giants
Washington to win.
Giants
Okay,
need
because
Washington to win.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
They're
my
gonna ruin the
Eagles,
I can't
my
wait.
Eagles my Eagles are folding before our eyes, but I still want a chance. I still want a chance.
Don't worry, you're playing the Giants. You're going to be just fine this weekend. You're going to up your
Oh
chances.
man. Start drinking if you're watching the Giants play.
Yeah, no kidding. I say, yeah, put in.
I'm already drinking now. I'm starting drinking now for that game.
I say put DeVito in again so we can all get 50%.
Yo, Mooch,
we get
last week I
50%
wanted
off
to punch
pizzas.
my TV with the
Oh,
bowl. With
buddy.
his, I'm like, just kick the. Like, what is he doing? Anyway.
Something's wrong. Everyone loves
Just
him,
win
but
the game.
He
Just-
makes some
Oh.
weird decisions. Right now, we're playing for draft picks. It's all good. Sports.
That's
Either way, I do got to say. So I do want to kind of move on to another topic here. This was interesting. And guys, I invited Nib95 onto the show. He couldn't make it. But in all honesty, I do want to say this much. He had a great back and forth with a lot of people this week about first party and second party games. And the one thing I did want to kind of talk about, well, the journalist, and shout out to the great Ryan McCaffrey, who he even says at the end, he goes, "Feel free,
Ryan McCaffrey."
Right? He says, feel free to bookmark this. Is probably going to get be wrong." But he says, PlayStation, it's going to be super quiet first party wise. They've announced next to nothing. They do have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They do have Rise of the Ronin coming up, but they're third party. And, when it comes down to it, those are Sony, I believe those are Sony published games, Sony paid for games. And then there was that one tweet that came out from Phil that basically said that, if they're paying for it and it's their publishing, it's their game. So when it comes down to it, B-Money, I want to go to you with this. I don't know. Maybe I'm old fashioned. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong here. I have no problem being wrong. When I have a console and a game is only available on a certain console, well, in that to me, that's exclusive to the console. That's a PlayStation game. So Rise of the Ronin, probably not going to Xbox, being funded by PlayStation, right? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, who knows? I'm not going to even touch that, B. But when it comes down to it, these are games that are going to be, if you go out and buy a PlayStation 5, these are games you can only play on the PlayStation 5. So when it comes down to it, I don't even know if Rise of the Ronin is actually going to be on PC day one. If not, it'll eventually go to PC.
It hasn't been mentioned.
Yeah, I didn't see a TC. B, what do you feel in your heart of hearts when you hear this first party, second party kind of back and forth, whether it's, true ownership to the platform?
I just don't understand people going back and forth about it. Is the game exclusive to the console or not? That's all that matters. It doesn't matter who makes it. People are all up in arms about, Sony's first party and whatnot because they, haven't released all these games. And it's like, okay, no, they're not releasing games. They also didn't go buy a bunch of studios to release games for them either. So, if we look at the output of the first party studios that were in place prior to Microsoft seeing all the studios that they did, we have done nothing. It can be said for Sony. They release 40 every year, which is maybe to show a lot of people who try to discard that because it's a sports game, but they do release it every year. It does sell in high regard and is rated pretty well. They did announce that Concord is releasing this year. So that is a first party game. And they're going to re-release all their remasters and remakes that they've been doing the last couple of years. So they have that as well. But in regards to games like Rise of Ronin, Stellar Blade, and things like that, they're not technically a first party game, but they're a second party game, similar to what Quantic Dream did with
Until
Detroit Become Human, Until Dawn, and the other studio that did Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain. I think that's what it's called, Heavy Rain. So they have those separate relationships, and the same thing could be said for Team Ninja. You know, they had the Neo games that released on PlayStation. Nobody cried about those games. This is the same partnership that's just going to continue going forward. So they have a new game, Rise of the Ronin. So it's a game that won't be released in a console but PlayStation. Stop going back and forth about it. It's an exclusive game. You can't play it anywhere else until they decide to run PC.
Yeah, you botted a bit out on the end there, being what I wanted to hear. So I don't know if you can maybe reset your mic. I'll come back to you. I want to hear that last part again. We did hear the middle part, but that last part was botting out a bit. I mean, J-Dub, what do you think when you hear this stuff back and forth? Or you know, I mean, is it to me personally? Again, you buy a console. Take Hi-Fi Rush for example, right? So I can't play Hi-Fi Rush on my PlayStation. So Hi-Fi Rush, I know it's a bad example because that's a first party now. But even take like Vampire Survivors, and it's probably a bad example because the rumor is Vampire Survivors is coming to PlayStation soon. But forget that. For the past year and change, you want to play Vampire Survivors, you gotta play it on Xbox or PC. So my point is that like if these games are being funded by Sony, then you know that's just to me that's a reason to buy the console if you want to play those games. It's that simple.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what it is. It's just a narrative change. That's all. It's just a narrative change. It's a fanboy tactic. And I find it ironic that Ryan McCaffrey and other pro Xbox people are the ones to bring this to light after they've spent the last generation and a half getting nothing, touting multiplats, treating them like they were exclusives. Oh my God, this game is coming to Game Pass, and it's like, dude, but it's also coming to PlayStation, it's coming to Switch and everywhere else. Well, we don't care. It's our game. And then Sony goes out and get these deals and have it exclusively on their platform, and they get no credit from it. And at the end of the day, like you said, Mooch, one cares about its hardware. It cares. It wants you to buy games and play them exclusively on their hardware, and the other one don't care about the hardware. So it's just another narrative change. That's really what it boils down to. Whether it's first party, second party, or third party, either way, when you see those commercials and you see that PlayStation logo or that Xbox logo, that's where you think that the game is, and that's where most customers typically go to for it. Exclusives matter. I know Microsoft is not a fan of it, according to Satya and according to Phil. Now, all of a sudden now it's a narrative change. So it's just a lot of moving pieces with the narratives now, and I just think it's just a narrative change. The hardware isn't selling. The games on it selling. I guess a lot of their games that they have out of the 52 studios, you spend $100 billion on studios and publishers. You think a person wouldn't need to change a narrative, but you still have to change a narrative. And guess what? Just because Sony hadn't came out with Naughty Dog and Guerrilla Games and Sucker Punch and the rest of those guys to show what they got coming this year doesn't mean it's not coming. It just means they haven't showed it to you yet. We're 4 days into the year. Now, mark my word, if we get a State of Play or a PlayStation Showcase and those studios come out and show games, there's going to be another narrative behind it, right? It's going to be, why are you showing games that's coming out next year? Why are you showing games that's too far out? It's going to be another narrative such as, well, y'all waited too long, and it's always going to be something. And that's just, anytime you're losing in a fight, you're always going to find some other reason to point finger at the other guy on and why you should be winning. And so that's what it is. At the end of the day, most gamers don't care. They know that games are coming. We just saw, the narrative about 3 weeks ago was PlayStation has no games. Then PlayStation came out with that list saying that they have they came out with a trailer actually yesterday or today. We know we got Helldivers, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, The Last of Us Remake, Pacific Drive, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Rise of Ronin. I can keep going. Concord, right? Stellar Blade, Silent Hill 2. Foam Stars for those who care for stuff like that. Those are games that you can only play on your PS5 or PC if it's releasing on that.
People say, "Oh, first party." Okay, so if you do we all think that Sony, Santa Monica, and these other teams are all just sitting on their hands? No. So it's the same thing that happened, a while back on the Xbox side. And but when you stop and think about it, the difference is PlayStation's still doing those exclusive deals with these AA deals. to get to fill in the gaps, and I think that's a big deal.
Absolutely,
I think that's a big deal. You know what I mean. So in
that's
between,
the perfect strategy. That's the perfect strategy. Think about it. Okay, in those times, so what Sony did traditionally, right? They would have their big studios. They release a big game or a couple of big games, and in those dry times, they would depend on the indies to fill in those dry spots into the. Okay, well now they decided those dry spells to fill those in with bigger second party games like Rise of Ronin and stuff like that, or in Concord or whatever other games that I named, and people still have an issue with that. Right? It's like damn if you do it, damn you don't. You cried. Oh, nobody cares about indies. Well, now they fill them with bigger AAA, and you still got a problem with it. It's like at this point, like who cares? Why are we? And pardon my French, Mooch, but why am I even like arguing with?
Yeah, I don't.
Why am I even arguing with people who've already lost the console war? Like you've lost already. Like why am I arguing?
And this is probably a
I don't have to explain.
It's probably a bad example again because the rumor is that Stalker 2 may be coming to PlayStation on the road, but let's just say it's not. If Stalker 2 is a game that I want to play and I definitely want to try it out, I'm going to play it on Xbox. Right? It's coming to Xbox. So there you go.
Or PC.
Or PC. That's fine. But I'm just trying to say that's the kind of deals that you like to see that fill in the gap while you wait for the first party. Now, if those games that fill in the gap don't meet your fancy, that's a completely different argument. I can't talk you into that, nor would I. Jez, what do you think when you hear this stuff? I mean, you saw what was going on the whole week.
I think just like what J-Dub said, like I just think it's just petty horseshit, and I just think it's so stupid because like Stalker 2 was being hyped and that's not owned by Microsoft. Like, who cares who owns it now? Just because Microsoft's buying all these people now, they're like, they own Call of Duty, they own this. Like, and now you look at Sony's first party. We all agree, Sony's first party has been kind of quiet. Like, they and not just with the future, the next phase. Like, they already kind of released their God of War, released Horizon. They've been releasing first party games from Insomniac carrying a lot of it, but like. They have been quiet as to what Naughty Dog's next game is, and Cory Balrog's next game, and Studio Ben came out and said we're cooking,
right?
So like they're making stuff, Housemarque, they're making stuff. We just don't know what it is, and this kind of falls into Microsoft told us some of these games I've seen on lists now every year. It's been for the last 4 years, same games on the list because Microsoft decided to kind of show the next 5 to 7 year roadmap of what they're working on, but no updates on the gameplay at all.
Yeah.
So like one did that, and the other one kind of showed short what came out and released it.
Yep.
But again, if they're using second party games to leverage time while they're cooking, then that's what they're doing. And then you're right. I find the more important thing is where you can play the games. If these are exclusive to drive either their service or drive their console, then that holds a lot of weight. So whether it's a first party or second party, like Final Fantasy 16, that carries some weight. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, that's going to definitely carry some weight for Sony exclusively. Stalker 2 may do something for Xbox, I don't know, but a lot of people hyping it up probably never played Stalker 1, but Stalker 2 is coming out. It looks good. It looks like a Metro, and it looks pretty good. But that's a second party thing, but I think it's semantics. I really think if they got the get of this exclusivity, then that's more importantly than like who owns it. And I'm telling you, nobody cares. Like nobody cares. Nobody's gonna be like, well, wait a second, that's not a studio owned by them, so I'm not considering that. Like then don't. But like whatever. Like if you only play it there, like
at the end of the day,
it's so stupid.
Right? That's the console you have, and you can only play it on one console. That's.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You're actually,
remember the whole Rise of the Tomb Raider thing? That was a whole thing. Everybody forgets that. Rise of the Tomb Raider was considered, a first party. Phil Spencer, they made that game happen. They gave Square Enix the money to make Rise of the Tomb Raider, and they had it for a year exclusive. And that was like, they're like, Phil, when's it coming to the other consoles? He's like, but we paid for it. It's all one. Like, we funded that game.
Yeah.
If you remember that,
I was going to
say somebody brought up Scorn. Josh has brought up Scorn. Yeah, that was an exclusive too.
Right,
Scorn.
exactly. But I really like your Rise of the Tomb Raider. That was the one that I was going to bring up. That was a big deal, and we knew it was going to be time, but at the same time, it didn't matter. For a year or change,
they paid for it to happen.
It's an
That's
Xbox
what he said.
game.
By the way, guys, As Dusk Falls releases soon on PS5.
What does?
As Dusk Fall.
Oh, As Dusk Falls. Yes. That's another one that's kind of in that question state, right, Jay? where the
Yep.
CFO said we are going to start to look at PlayStation and Nintendo no longer as maybe, they're not looking at them as direct competitors. They kind of want to have them maybe be an ally and start selling their services. And that's what B Money was saying earlier too, when he said they want they know their software. Microsoft definitely knows how to handle their software, and if that's where they want to put it, that's fine. But I think we're going to see more and more of that happen as the years go on too. I really do.
And one other thing to add to that, Mooch, just like what you were saying about how they released that video, and they do have a cadence for the next 3 months of games that you can only play. Some majority of them, they did have Tekken 8 in there as well, but they're games that are exclusive to PlayStation, and they have release dates, and they're coming out in the next 3 months. Like, they have that cadence right there, and they said these are some of the games that are coming out this year in 2024, and most of them have release dates, and they're coming pretty quick. Whereas Xbox has this list of games, and there's maybe with the developer direct, they start putting dates on stuff, but as of right now, when everybody's hyping up this stuff, that there is no kind of like cadence of when these games are coming out. No seasons or anything like that. So we're still waiting on the years. But where Sony has shown, hey, in the next 3 months, this is what you're playing. Here's our stuff that we're offering. So
it's a good platter of games for the start of the year. People,
I know
everybody needs to relax. Just take a second and relax.
That's right.
Look at what the first party did on the PS4. Some of the best looking games that we ever saw.
Yep. And they were post the 2015 era. Because, listen, I was guilty too.
Right.
I used to say 2015 was dry, but look what happened post 2015 as PS4 ended the generation. It was what B said. Some of the most memorable games, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, Part 2. It just was. Listen, I like Days Gone. Other people didn't. That's fine. I'm a zombie apocalypse lunatic. I almost paid.
I enjoyed it.
I did too. I got the platinum. I really did like it. I understand if you didn't. That's to me that's a you problem, but I get it. B, I get it. That's what I say. Relax. If I didn't have a Rise of the Ronin, I didn't have a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I didn't have these other games to fill in the Stellar Blade. If I didn't have these things to fill in the first 6 months, okay, well maybe then I'd be like, so what? Why? Where's the essence? What's the reasoning for having the PlayStation? PlayStation makes sure that you know why you should have it, even through last year. Last year, you could say it was dry a bit too, but you had Final Fantasy 16. They did Forspoken. Then they ended it with a Game of the Year nomination.
And Horizon DLC and PSVR with the Horizon.
Yep. And now you even
and the Horizon DLC.
They even do the God of War Valhalla drop, which
is
I played that over the holiday. That was amazing. So there's constantly games and constantly DLC and things to keep you in that ecosystem, keeping you in that like hamster wheel. You're just happy. You're just running in it.
Shout out to all the Gran Turismo fans. Okay, we enjoyed Spec 2 as well.
That's right.
And the VR came out, so people were back on VR for that too.
That's so that's the thing, and people like, oh well, VR was a failure. Like I said this, I don't remember if I said it at the beginning of the show or before.
If you're gonna the thing about it also, sorry for the VR space. If you count those, I would personally count those games as well as somebody who has PSVR2 on my PlayStation 5, like Village VR and RE4 VR. Yep. They're exclusive to PSVR2, and you also had other games.
And No Man's Sky too.
Mara.
Yeah, there's a ton
that's true.
PSVR2 games that
No
came
Man's
out.
Sky is huge on VR. That was
every
crazy.
single month we get a ton of.
Synapse was one of the best VR games. Synapse was one of the best VR games this year, and that was an exclusive Sony-backed PlayStation VR2 title. Like there was a bunch of, as somebody who owned PSVR2 and PS5, I was playing games throughout the whole year, personally.
Yeah, and it's funny because everything goes cyclical. I'm talking to Moneybags 97. He goes, "Well, PlayStation's dry right now." I'm like, "Well, then is Xbox dry as well? Like, what's coming out for Xbox since Motorsport? What did we get over the holiday from them?
A potential stealth drop at the developer direct.
Yeah, potential.
You got a toaster. You got a toaster, Mooch.
There was a toaster.
Xbox Series toaster.
No.
There was a toaster. So let me switch. I'll switch over. Listen, I wish I had the news. I'll have it for next week. I'll have like a news beat behind this. I'll go to TC. TC, you're always reporting the news. TC, this is Acquisition Watch. Are we going to be seeing anything? No, and I'm not bothering you. This is new related topics. Are we going to see anything from Sony in 2024 on a big splash? I don't mean anything smaller. I mean on a big splash level. What do you think?
I honestly don't know, just because like I've seen people make their predictions for acquisitions for 2024. There are several small studios like Arrowhead Games and
Yeah.
the people behind Stellar Blade. There's several small studios that are probably going to fit right into Sony once these games release and they see a good backing to it. I'm still wondering what happened with Square Enix. Jeff Grubb and Greg Miller like seemed pretty confident in like what 2022 summer or something like that.
Yes.
That would be announced. Like I'm not sure what happened to that. I've seen some people talk about CD Projekt Red, but they came out again saying we're going to remain independent. But Bluepoint did that. Several other studios did that. Bungie did that, and they got bought out. So
Yeah.
maybe the thing about it is maybe the thing for me is I'm less like acquisitions are interesting, but it's games that are already like there and now they're gonna work under Sony. The reason why I want them to work under Sony is because they're production level. So if CD Projekt Red comes under Sony, I'm pretty sure Sony's gonna make sure that game doesn't release day one having issues and you have to wait 2 years for patches and 2.0 versions and a whole rework of the game for it to finally be good. They'll just wait for that game to actually be good and then release it. Maybe they'll have a big acquisitions, but I'm going to be honest with you. For me, my biggest interest is what is first party doing. Those are the games I'm really interested in. We know all of these studios have been quiet for years. This is, for me personally, I'm like, what is going on? Like Ben Studio didn't have a game since 2019, but we know in 2021 they confirmed. I think it was 2021 they confirmed they're working on a new IP. Bluepoint used to have a cadence, but they used to make remakes. You would have a release like every 2 years or something like that from Bluepoint. But now obviously they're working on a new game. But like this is like coming to the 4th year, so I'm expecting like something from Bluepoint. Sucker Punch since like 2020. I know it took them a while to make Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
but they have the foundation. They have the foundation of that game. They're not making a game from scratch this time around. So I'm expecting something from them. There's just Guerrilla Games. I think they have the Horizon multiplayer. Like that should probably be announced at some point. Naughty Dog had a new IP that's been in the works for a few years now. Cory Barlog's game has been. This guy's been teasing that game for I don't know how many years.
Yes, he's been teasing forever. Just to build the Kratos, the Kratos show. Remember they was like
it was like the stars on
Rising Kratos, brother. Yeah.
And the thing about it is like, and there's also Sony London as well. There are so many studios under Fire Sprite have a bunch of games they're working on. Firewalk has Concord that's coming out, but I'm just trying to say that there's a bunch of stuff that first party studios has been working on, and if they do not announce these things this year, I'm gonna have to walk up to these studios and be like, "Hey, man, what's going on? Talk to me. What's going on? Is everything good? Is the pipeline good? Are we breathing? What's going on?"
That's a good point, TC. That's a lot of games you just listed too. I mean, we don't have to hear them all this year, right, Kofi?
Their whole studio.
One studio
everybody.
I wanted to double back on is Bluepoint, because when we first heard rumors that they were remaking Demon Souls, it was early enough, it was late enough in the PS4 gen that we weren't sure if it was going to be a launch title. I remember when Colin Moriarty over at Sacred Symbols talked about, he basically knew about it but couldn't say it outright, I guess out of respect for the company. He said, I know this game exists, but we just don't know why it's not out. And then they basically, I'm kind of like putting the pieces together, but I would imagine Sony said, hey, this would be a great launch title. It'll give Bluepoint more time, dev time through 2018, 2019, we'll just have it come out in 2020. But if they had all that time to have Demon Souls out, were they not thinking about what was next? So I also want to double down on Bluepoint specifically. I think even though I know this will be their first, maybe not remaster / remake, full respect, it definitely was a remake. But I want to see at least show me a little bit of gameplay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, that's a good point. I think a lot of these teams, and I actually don't think you're going to see, I mean, TC listed a plethora. I would say that this year, they have to have Sony. We got to hold Sony to the fire a bit here. They really do need a showcase this year. More than a proper
showcase. Like last year, they had a showcase that was That was it
was
is what it was. We need
good.
I need like 2021. That was Wolverine, Spider-Man 2, God of War. Like even if it was the last 10 minutes that was really hype, that was something like I was watching reactions back to that. It was I wasn't
Right.
watching anybody's reactions to the May showcase last year.
Yeah.
I wasn't watching that. Like that's what we need definitely this year. And I if you look at the titles that they've heavily showcased right now, again, as people have pointed out, it's very early stuff and most of them seem to be releasing before March. So is Sony gonna have a state of play, April, May? Or are they
I think that's when they need to have it because that's when Jim Ryan's out. Gordon Ramsay, he's leaving at the end of March, and then have the new person come on and say, "Here are the games."
Yeah,
And stand up and then let
The games do the talking.
That's
Yeah.
actually
Let's go. We're done. April.
that actually, by the way of an actual calendar, that makes a lot of sense though, Jez. You know what I mean? To have when Jimmy steps down, we move on to the next, and it'll be his.
He already
show.
stepped down. He's in the retirement home eating cookies and applesauce.
All right, so I want to also ask you guys about this Silent Hill 2. I know we've been talking about it. It's in a lot of lists that we've been talking about. Seemingly, Bloober Team. What an awful! I don't know what an awful name that is. Just imagine being a CEO and they're like, "We're gonna name this Bloober Team." No, I would have been like, "Does anybody have any other options? Can we vote on something else?" No. All right. So Bloober Team said that basically we're polishing. I should say they said. The rumor has it that they are polishing this game up, and Silent Hill 2 is coming out in 2024.
Yeah, this thing's been good for. I think it's been good for a while, and their communication with us even last year. It seems like this game's been good. It's just Sony and Konami are trying to schedule this accordingly. Like when should this thing release? Should they have released it in October? Probably not. That month was disgustingly stacked. And they also had Spider-Man 2 at that month. And if you look at the beginning of the year, they have a bunch of games, but pre-orders were out. Multiple retailers had it set for March of 2024. We also had the voice actor say it's an early 2024 title. I just don't know why this trailer that they had here, just get it over with.
Do you guys, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you guys think some of the stuff they're going to wait this year towards the end of the year for to have something for the PlayStation 5 Pro?
That's interesting.
You're launching new hardware, right? And everyone's talking about, well, I want to see the difference of the PS5 Pro and the PlayStation 5. Well, maybe
I originally thought that was going to be. I thought that was originally going to be Wolverine, but obviously now from the unfortunate Insomniac leak, that's seemingly a title for later. But I think Wolverine would have been straight up punch in the face type of this is get the PlayStation 5 Pro, especially with the recent leak supposedly hinting at PS5 Pro AI machine learning feature. I feel like these two were supposed to be intertwined at some point.
It's gonna be Venom with a black PlayStation 5 Pro.
Oh, I'll take that as well. Give me that.
To answer your question, at least, just from my perspective, I think Sony might aim for something that is family friendly. I think
Astro 2?
Yeah, you read my mind.
Oh,
Team Asobi.
I love that. That thing could be a hybrid title that releases on PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't know how they're gonna. Visually, Astrobot already looks like it's a great looking platformer. So I don't know how they're gonna advocate for the PS5 Pro enhancements. What are they gonna run Astrobot 120 frames? They're like, hey, you want to play this at 120 frames? I don't know how crazy that is. My excitement is for the hybrid aspect because I would be shocked if Team Asobi released this full-fledged Astro game and it doesn't run on PlayStation VR2 and the PS5.
I was going to say that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a must. Because they made one of the best VR games with the first PSVR with Astrobot.
And PlayStation Portal features and stuff like that. I mean, they could really shoehorn that. So, I mean...
Yeah, if the game runs at a higher frame rate, the latency gets better. Have you ever tried playing like Call of Duty on 120 FPS and the latency feels better on the Portal when you're streaming it. Obviously, it doesn't run at 120 frames, but the latency seems to transition over to the Portal and it feels better. So maybe they could say that. Honestly, Astrobot feels at home on the Portal right now. So
So let me ask you this: so, do you guys think if that's the case, is that something that comes free bundled with the PS5 Pro?
No, I think it's going to be a full-fledged. I do not. Astrobot needs to be a full game. It deserves it. It deserves to be a full game.
Remind me, guys, because
this is the tricky part with that.
Go ahead, B.
Because if you look at everything that's released that's PS5 only, those games are not selling. And when you go to a game like Astrobot that was packed in and literally everybody got to play it, release it at a $50 price point, most people are going to put their nose up at it. They're not spending $50 on that game. So I think
I don't know.
In most cases, because you got to think, it's a pack. If that game released at $50 and instead of being a packed in game, would you have bought it day one?
No. The first game was like a several hour game, 4 or 5 hour type.
Yeah, the first one for VR was like
Ratchet and Clank. How long is Ratchet and Clank?
Ratchet and Clank was about 10 hours.
10 hours. It was a long game. Yeah, it was a long game.
For me personally, that was my game of the year. That was my game of the year that year, and I spent like 40 hours on that bitch.
Like
I'm a weirdo about that.
If Astrobot released day one at $50, nobody would have bought it. That's just
not the first Astrobot. It was clearly made for you got to take it. That was clearly made as a demo for the PS5, but it was worth more than a demo. It was actual proper game. And now,
are you listening to what I'm saying?
And now you have what is the console sale amount of the PlayStation 5 right now? We're past 50 million. Now you have all of these people that know who Astrobot is. They've played the game. They've loved the game. I have people in my personal life.
Everybody knows who Ratchet and Clank is, and nobody.
No. Ratchet and Clank is a legacy title. A lot of us know about Ratchet and Clank. The PS5 and Astrobot came out the same day, 2020. It was with every console. Ratchet and Clank was not with every console. Ratchet and Clank, the last game was in 2016, and that was a remake of the first game going back to the early 2000s. Ratchet and Clank is our generation. We know Ratchet and Clank. The current generation, Astrobot, came out with the PlayStation 5 in 2020, packed in with every console. All of these kids know about it. All of these people know about it.
TC, I just want to pump the brakes here real quick.
Sure.
I'm very cautious on saying with using the word everyone knows. Not everyone knows about Astrobot.
No, I'm saying in comparison.
Platformers like that don't really. They've never did really well for a long time.
And I know that because like I know people that have PS5s. And like, have you played Astrobot? It's a great way to experience. I didn't play it. It wasn't something I was interested in.
That's the opposite for me. Everybody that I know that got the PlayStation 5 played Astrobot.
Yeah, I would just caution TC and that's look. I understand. Like you have people that you're in your circle that played, but that's not the entire.
I'm not saying everyone knows about Astrobot fully, but the mass, like a large group of people know. I'm trying to make the point that people know about Astrobot and probably care more about Astrobot than Ratchet and Clank. Right now,
maybe money right though, but nobody's
maybe not though.
I mean, $40-$50 on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
If it's a full-fledged game that releases on PlayStation 5, and
I'm gonna be honest, it don't matter. It's not going to sell, and it's not going to. It'll sell, but it's not going to sell in any tangible numbers.
Sackboy, that was an expensive game at launch.
Absolutely.
Like money was saying, like
exactly.
That was like Astrobot was bundled in, but Sackboy came out. What was it, 60, 70? Was it 70? I think it was.
Yeah, it was $70.
Yeah, $70. Yeah, I mean, it was a good game, but like it was definitely a tall order at $70 launch for that game.
I don't know every title. I don't agree with everyone that everyone knows Astrobot. I think some people do, but I think there's some people in the market that don't know Astrobot, didn't care about it to play it because it's not their cup of tea. So I'm just for me personally, I'm just very cautious with like kind of applying these like terms like everyone or
the point that I was trying to make was that compared because the point that was brought up against it was that Ratchet and Clank, and I say Ratchet and Clank is a legacy title. It's a legacy franchise. It's a platformer that a lot of us know. Astrobot is a platformer that ran and was existing with every PlayStation 5 right there. So the opportunity of a sale, I don't think Astrobot 2 is going to be a $70 title. I think Sony would be crazy to do that, but Sony's done crazy things. So if they do that, might as well plunge it in the dirt. I don't think it's going to be a $70 title. I hope it's not. But I'm saying more people right now care about Astrobot than, and it hurts to say this because I love Ratchet and Clank. I love Ratchet and Clank more than Astro.
But TC, whoa. Okay, you say more people care about Astro, like based on what?
No, I don't
Based
think
on what I've seen in my personal life and what I've seen online.
But that's okay. But TC, you gotta understand something. That is not what you see in your personal life is not a reflection of.
I said and what I see online and what I see in my community.
But that's not a reflection of the entire market though. Like this is the issue I have with the gaming dialogue. But I'm not trying to pick on you, TC. But this is the issue I have with some of the dialogue around gaming, where people make these. Where gamers make these absolute statements of, oh well, yeah, this is what you just said about Astrobot. I'm like, well, no, that's just a small. What you're studying is a very small sample size of people. No, it's not. It's the thing about it. It's not only people in my personal life. It's people in my communities as well. Okay,
it's
but people that is a small sample size. You're talking about a community of how many people?
Well, I think when it comes down to
my social sphere.
TC,
okay, but again, TC, but that's a very, you gotta understand, that's a very small sample size. Like that's what I'm saying. Like unless you have like something that like from Circana or NPD, and this is just a nit that I have.
Those also have like thousands of people that they get in. I'm saying it's a sample size. The thing about it is, if we're gonna play this game, you have nothing to refute it. The other side of it, you have nothing to say that only this many people. I'm actually telling you, and I don't know why this conversation got deep. I'm saying that the possibility of people caring more about Astrobot than Ratchet and Clank right now is logical because Astrobot was with every console.
It's about every single game that's PS5 only that's come from first party. Nobody bought them.
How is that the case when Spider-Man 2 sells over like 5 million?
Yes, of course, Spider-Man. But I'm talking about all the other ones. Every other game that has released.
God of War sold.
God of War is also released on the PS4, bro.
Oh, that's true. That's true. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing that I was going to say that I think that may find a neutral ground here is the one thing TC said, and B, I think you and Brapp will agree with this. The exposure. So when you have now 50 million consoles out there, every single console that's out there has Astrobot on there. Again, it was a demo. It was to try out, to get used to the DualSense, to really feel the PS5's, some of the initial power, and to try to DualSense that. And TC, if I'm misinterpreting you, go ahead. I think what he's saying is now you have a plethora of people that a free game, they all struck it up to try. And now if they see the game is on there and it's a $50 game, they may be more inclined to go, oh, that's the game that I loved when I played it first. And I'm talking about somebody who's really casual, has no. Whereas if a Ratchet and Clank thing shows up on the PlayStation Store, they just kind of go buy it because they didn't play it on PS4, they didn't play it on PS3, they didn't play it on PS5. But this is something that already has exposed to the masses. And when I say the masses, I mean 50 million people. Now, Brad, I'm not saying that turns into. I'm not saying it turns into.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. How many PCs are in the world?
More than I could even give you a figure.
Billions, probably, right?
Yeah.
So all of them have access to Game Pass, correct?
Yes, they do.
Okay, are all of them on Game Pass?
No.
Oh, okay. So
no. That's a weird comparison.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
I don't know why this is a really weird discussion. Astrobot was on the PlayStation 5 and headlined as the big. Like, this is something that people like. They want you to get into it right from the get-go. This is a thing that showcases the PlayStation 5. Game Pass doesn't showcase the PC. Game Pass doesn't show you how to use your Windows. Game Pass doesn't show you the special features of your Windows platform.
So TC, to your point, I think I mostly agree with you. I think of something like Wii Sports, right? Wii Sports came bundled with all these Wiis, and then you started seeing NDP numbers for it. But we're all like, do these NDP numbers really count? Because it's with every single Wii.
I'll do you one better.
but they
Remember
release
We Play?
iterations on that version.
Remember We
Then
Play?
that exposure is able to be, built upon. So I think that's what you're making the argument for, that you could build on the
Right,
knowledge
'cause
base
it's been
of a certain
exposed.
ecosystem
Of people
users.
knowing about
Yeah,
it.
I
That was
remember.
all I was saying. in
Replay with the
comparison to
bundled
Ratchet
Wii
and Clank.
controller.
By the way, B and Brap, I'm not saying that
No, I
dismisses
look. I
your
don't. I don't
point.
disagree
It
with that.
doesn't dismiss your point.
Brad's issue was me saying everybody cares about it or everybody knows about it. And I said, like, that point I was trying to make was in comparison to something like Ratchet and Clank, people care more about Astrobot right now. And what I've used
I don't know how you quantify that. I think that's considering the legacy of
Well,
Ratchet and Clank and the sales numbers, Ratchet and Clank and the amount
you got it. You got to take in recency into Notion. People recency in terms of like kids nowadays.
Okay, that's not.
Astrobot is a game that's meant for the families. Astrobot, adults play that. Adults play
but that's not what you're
saying. It's meant for the families. So the kids that play nowadays are more exposed.
But you have to. There's a difference between saying like comparing, like just the I would say the Ratchet and Clank as a franchise is well known in because it's been around for a long time. I wouldn't equate the brand recognition of Ratchet and Clank or of Astrobot to be on par with Ratchet and Clank. That's kind of that is my only cautionary.
In terms of recency, I think Astrobot is more in people's minds than a Ratchet and Clank. Legacy is there.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, but I think
you'd have to quantify that.
Brad,
I'm going to say something about Astrobot. Like for Astrobot, I feel like Astrobot was always a demonstration of technology or software.
Yeah.
They always associated it with. I remember with the iToy, Astrobot was there with the iToy and with using the camera movements, and it shook in your controller and in the PS4, and it was there. It was a demonstration of the PSVR, and then now with the PS5.
The other day.
No bullshit! I don't go to that goddamn place.
No, it was there with the breadsticks.
Just to divert.
Yeah, so I think Ratchet and Clank definitely has more awareness. There's so many. They're full games that were there than Astrobot. I just Astrobot's there to demonstrate good tech for Sony. That's kind of what they use it for.
The Astrobot had a full PlayStation VR2, PlayStation VR game that people.
Yeah, but I would say they should launch with Venom. That's what I say. Venom, no Astrobot.
Oh no, I'm with that. I thought originally it was Wolverine.
I go Venom.
We got into
PlayStation
this weird discussion about awareness, but yeah, I would have went with Wolverine.
That's what I say. Astrobot, I don't think could carry a Pro, especially it'd be hard to talk about a Pro. I think Venom.
Exactly. Because a Pro, the thing about it is what I was saying earlier is the Pro is about the power capability of the console. You can show off PlayStation VR2 with Astrobot, but PlayStation VR2 is already out. And people have already seen it. Horizon's already shown it off. So for PlayStation 5 Pro, is Astrobot really going to be the game that that I really care about playing this at 120 FPS?
Nope.
No, I don't really care.
Well, let me ask you guys a question because we did take a left turn, which is fine. I love it when the show actually does that on its own. But Silent Hill 2, just to go back again, J-Dub, I'll start with you, and I want to hear what you guys think. Do you have faith in Bloober Team after? We played the game. I don't even remember the game. It was on Xbox. The Medium. Thank you. That was legitimately like that. That was coma inducing. Do they have the skill set? Do we feel like Konami? I mean, when we watched that whole show when Konami and they showed us Silent Hill 2 and they made the announcement and they did the whole thing, they made it sound like they did their homework and this team showed what they can do and they came to them and said, "This is what we can put forward. It's been one of our dreams to do this." Jay, are you buying all that? Do you think Bloober Team can knock this out of the park?
I'll be honest. I think they can, and there's some history there. Not necessarily with Bloober Team, but the fact that there's some games that have launched. Developers have launched games on Xbox and they didn't do well, but they come to PlayStation and they just do crazy. Look at Insomniac, right? Sunset Overdrive versus Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Like, what are we doing here? We know studios can, I think there's a possibility. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all for it. I'll be there day one. Now, granted, Konami hadn't put out anything in a while from just their development teams, but I think I would trust Bloober Team than Konami actually making it. So I'm all for it. And as much shit as I gave the medium, it wasn't that bad, right? It wasn't Redfall bad.
I thought it looked good. It played well. I just found it to be a bit. That was a little boring.
It was boring. It was boring.
That
Yeah, it
was
was boring. But now you got you know what the story is going to be like for Silent Hill. So
Right.
I mean, pretty much everything that they need is already there. How can you really screw something that's already kind of like legendary? How are you going to screw that up? There's a shitload of Silent Hill movies. The game has been done so many times. Like, really, how can you screw it up? If you take the medium and the atmosphere that they created with that game, which was great, had a great atmosphere, and using improve the graphics and stuff like that, I don't think there's much that they can screw up. Now, if they screw it up, yeah, that's on them.
That's it, right? It's like they're doing a remake, so it's like now it's going to be on their technical press because to be honest, with you, it's
exactly.
right because I mean they don't have to write anything. This is already a documented. This is a done deal.
Yes, you make a movie. I mean, think about it, right? All you got to do is direct the movie. You got a script, you got the actors already, you got everything you need. Like, how can you really screw this up? And that's my mindset on it.
No, I'm the same there on that. Kofi, what do you think? And as you answer this, I'll start with the next topic with you as well. Kofi, what do you think? You think Bloober Team can handle this?
Hey, I'll be honest, I'm concerned. I don't like their reputation. I tried playing the medium. I couldn't get through it, y'all.
That was tough.
And I want to have faith. I think the proud gentleman who was talking makes a good argument that when you're publishing, with Konami, with PlayStation, typically these titles have a little bit more oomph in their production and their it seems their Q&As more thorough. But I don't think Bloober Team has ever had a very I'll say this, a game that I've enjoyed because I can't speak for the masses. So if I were to say, like, if I were to put my concern on a number scale, I'd say like 6 or 7 out of 10, with 10 being extremely concerned. I just don't know if they can, because Silent Hill 2 is beloved, and they got to hit it. So, yeah.
I think it's one of those things where Konami knows that this is one of their beloved titles. People have been waiting for it, calling for it for a long time, Kofi. I don't think they don't have a lot of wiggle room for error here. That's my only thing, right? So that might be our saving grace when it comes to this game, because I'm looking forward to playing it. It's been a very long time, right? It's just a classic. It's an absolute classic. I do want to ask you guys, so with all this back and forth, Xbox, PlayStation, we touched on it in a quick segment, but Switch 2 rumors are coming out. So, Kofi, I'll start with you, and I do want to go up the entire chain because this is interesting. People, and if I read the article wrong, I apologize. Guys, I have to, again, correct me where I'm wrong. But people they were expecting this to be a revolution, and they're saying it's going to be an evolution. So basically, we're looking at going from wowing us to just a small upgrade in a Switch 2 product. Kofi, is that what you're hearing as well? And is that something that you're okay with? Or were you expecting them to basically be... Because I originally thought the Switch 2 was going to be like a PS4 or Xbox One graphics in our hands, finally. And getting that portable, which would be amazing. So where are we?
From the reports I saw, and people correct me if I'm wrong or behind, is that yes, Switch 2 most likely is an iteration, but there's no details on what that exactly means.
Right.
For example, a Switch 2 could really be power comparable to PS4, but it's not something that will change the dynamic that we're familiar with Switch. And I guess that was my original takeaway. I'm actually kind of happy with this. I feel like iterations sometimes bring along the best out of software in terms of games. So if I think of something like, now this might be a controversial take, but I love the Vita because it iterated on a lot of mistakes that the PSP did not have. Security was an issue, but they had things like trophies. The online multiplayer was really fun with things like Killzone. So, and then a lot of the games that at least I loved were great on Vita. So I think that Switch 2 can iterate on all the things that irritate us so much, like the Joy-Cons being just ugly, thin bricks that make me furious to hold, and the screen resolution for remastered titles like Xenoblade Chronicles at 540p, just driving me absolutely crazy, or the battery life just not being where it's at, or the fact that several Switch titles that are third party are streamed to Switch devices because they just don't have the hardware to compensate for that.
That's right.
Let's get rid of all of that. You guys already know from my prior point about Xbox, I don't want anything streaming. I'll say this, I want an option to have it run natively on the hardware that I have. So if all of that can be part of Switch 2 and we can start to see some other titles, like other IPs and Nintendo stable that they haven't touched, I'd be very happy. Like, I want Donkey Kong to be back. I want to see a Star Fox game. I'd love to see what's going on with Metroid whatever 4. So
the one thing, the other,
if that iteration's true, I'm happy.
No, I like where you went with that, and I noticed that Jez and Jay, you wanted to jump in TC as well. Guys, the other thing I've noticed, and I upgraded to the OLED. A lot of people are saying that if this Switch 2 doesn't launch with an OLED screen, they're already going to feel like they're taking a step back if the power isn't that excelled. Do you see what I'm saying? So if the power in it is moderate, Jay, and the screen goes back to an LCD, I mean, it really feels, it doesn't feel like any kind of real movement forward into the next generation of Nintendo. Do you feel that way as well, Jay? They got to have an OLED day one?
Absolutely. I'm going to tell you this, right? I'm still a little bit sour about the fact, and again, this may not be Nintendo's fault, right? Maybe it's just us as gamers with things that we want, even though the company never stated, right? Like earlier, we talked about the PS5 Pro. PlayStation never stated that they're going to come out and play, but we gravitate to things, and it's what we want. Same thing with the Switch 2. We know we're going to get a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro or whatever, but once the leaks start coming out and once the speculation comes out, it sets up this almost unreal expectation of what better be there. And if they never said what it was going to be and they just give you a slight bump in resolution or a slight bump in frames or a slight bump in whatever, look what they did with the Switch OLED. We thought it was going to be a Pro.
Yeah.
All they did was change the screen out to and sold it to you for extra $100. Like, it's in this madness because it's Nintendo, but it sold out instantly. And we know the Switch 2 or the Switch Pro is going to sell out instantly. But I'm really going to be disappointed if this thing doesn't move the needle at all, because it's like, Jesus, man, these guys, they can print money left and right. But as a gamer, you've been spending all this money, and we know we grade Nintendo on a curve. We know we give them the benefit of the doubt of everything. They get away with stuff PlayStation and the Xbox can't get away with. But you're going to charge us an extra $100, and this thing is, I'm still going to be struggling to run games at 30 frames. It's still going to have muddy graphics. The third-party support is still not going to be there because nobody wants to play Hogwarts Legacy looking fugly. It's, you see what I'm saying? I'm not, and I know some people, they went to the extreme. Oh, it's gonna have DLSS and 4K and 1440p. It's like, dude, it's not even in Nintendo's blood. Like, come on, let's stop it. If they can give me a native 1080p, if they can give me 60 frames a second, I think that's me personally lowering my standards to what I think Nintendo gives a care about, because ultimately they don't give a shit about 4K. They don't give a care about 1440p. They don't give a shit about 60 frames. But if they can meet me some way there, I'm still going to buy it, but Jesus, come on, Nintendo, work with me. I think that's what my expectation
Jay,
is.
I like where you went with that whole segment. But the only thing is that me and you were victims of it, right? We bought the OLED. So it's like, right? So
no,
dude, I'm telling you, they're not shipping the OLED.
I don't think they are, Jazz. I don't think they are. So we're gonna get. Hopefully, they blow us away with the specs.
They're gonna wait so they can get more money later.
Exactly. They're gonna do an OLED with a Switch Pro. Yeah, Switch 2 Pro. That's what they do. Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, I'm even thinking that Nintendo's probably not gonna include the dock. They're gonna make you pay.
Don't do that. It's a possibility.
Some of the bitches do that.
It's the possibility. It's Nintendo.
Nintendo will say, here's the other thing too with the Switch is that because it's a portable device, I've known from experience with the Ally, the Legion Go, and those portable PCs, the Steam Deck, and as well, you can't just jack up the resolution and frame rates and blow this thing out of the water with power because you'll be playing 45 minutes.
Yep.
So because it's a portable device, you got to have a balance there. So I could see them still hanging around that lower resolution, not throwing in tons of power at this thing and being an iterative product. I think that they
that 60 FPS. I don't want.
No, that I think they're gonna do a minimum of that. Sure, they got to do that thing. But I wouldn't be surprised these sons of bitches don't put a friggin' to say, oh, you want to do the dock now? It's another $75 for the dock.
Yeah, that's
some
not.
bull.
That's not
Nintendo.
$400 for the console, and then another $75 for the dock.
They already said their games are going to be $70. They already said that.
They do. And you got to think Nintendo, they're not going to need all that. They just need to do just enough to get. And I agree with Kofi was saying too. Like Kofi was saying that it's iterative. It's not like how the Wii went to the Switch. Like the Switch was like a completely different mindset. What it did from the previous generation. This will be the same thing, just a little bit more, and a little bit more power, a better resolution, play the games better that they have already. And there you go. Yeah. And that's Nintendo. And I just wish they just made a regular console for the TV and a Switch, but it is what it is.
Me too.
Yeah, it really is going to be interesting to see.
Because I'm telling you, seeing Nintendo games running at nicer resolutions, wow.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, 100%.
Yeah, because I don't want to get these games on. I want to play these games on the Switch, but seeing some of these games run on PC is.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you see, you're like, whoa,
come on, man!
It's getting bad. For example, I just imported an action RPG called East. Right, East 10 just came out.
East.
Switch. East 10 on Switch. I've seen the videos. It looks like garbage. And let's be honest, Falcom isn't a visually impressive developer. They make really good action, but it chugs on Switch, and I'm like, it's time. So let's just hope that they could focus on something like that.
It'd be one thing if the dock that they actually sold, let's pray to God, Jez is not right.
I'm wrong.
Right?
That can't happen.
I'm not, but I take it back.
I would like it if you docked it, like when we play now, what is it? So it's 720p in your hand, and then it does upgrade to 1080p?
I always thought that, and that's where they could get away with price selling the dock, making the dock kind of up the resolution, maybe having some boost in there,
1440p.
Some fans or something.
Yeah,
or some sort of GPU enhancer, something that gets the max potential, like a 60 watt or something out of it. When it's not docked, it'll just play in low power state. But when you dock it, it does a high power state because the dock gives that extra power to the GPU or the APU on there. That's why I always thought the Switch was going to be. They were going to just update a dock, like a more powerful dock, like an external GPU. But they never did that, so maybe they do that with this.
Yeah,
Nintendo, they care more about the gimmick of the device than they do the performance of the device, and they've kind of been like that for quite some time. It's worked in their favor. Yeah, it's worked in their favor because people don't complain because they do make great fucking games. But is it wrong for gamers to ask for a little bit more? Is it? I don't know, but like I said, it's super crazy for me to even say that after we give Microsoft and Sony shit for just the most minimal of things.
Yep.
They give us fucking ray tracing. They give us, all this tech, and we complain and cry about it, but we're sitting here accepting 360p at 15 frames a second and say, it's Nintendo. At least it has an LED screen. That's fucking crazy, bro. It's crazy. It's just gamers. I hate to say it. It's just gamers.
The thing about it's not all gamers, because gamers, I've talked to gamers from various platforms, and they want better performance. But the thing about it is, whenever I talk about Nintendo, and I'm just saying, hey man, I just don't want to play this game at 25 FPS, fluctuating. I want to play Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom at 60 FPS. I've gotten accustomed to that. Just let me play it at 60 FPS, and then you have all of these people saying the Switch still has power left in it. It's all right. It's working fine. If you try it out, it stays at lock 30. I'm like, what did I say, man? I'm asking for the standard of modern day gaming.
Yeah, they hear you. They're just not listening.
That's Xbox tax. That's that Xbox tax.
That's that tax coming through again. All right, so Jez, I gotta ask Jez. Jez, I think you were in on this. I actually don't know. I read some things about it. I don't know why. Some of these articles just weren't sticking with me. This is the whole Starfield wins most innovative gameplay award on Steam, and people were arguing the credibility. I mean, I go to Jez, but if anybody wants to chime in on this, like, was this, people were saying it was a troll award, then other people were saying, no, it was legit, and then people are criticizing. Where was this whole debate over the past 7 to 10 days?
Paul Tassi, I think he did one where he said that he felt like it was a troll win on that one because he was saying that Red Dead Redemption won an award for a most beloved or supported game, and actually they like kind of gypped out of it apparently.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. It was a kind of opposite. So he said that them winning most of the innovative gameplay was a troll with Starfield. The thing is just looking at the reviews, like all the reviews of the games that were nominated all had overwhelmingly positively on Steam. Starfield was the only one that had overwhelmingly negative.
Yeah.
And I went back also to show the previous winners of that award. I think it went back to 2019, and every single one of them had positive reviews that won that award. It was like Deathloop. It was what was the other? There was a couple of there was a couple of games that went back. I think it went back to like 20. It only went back a few years, that award. And so like, take it for what you will. Like you could just see like from the reviews and from what I played. Like I don't find that it had the most innovative gameplay. But again, I just think it's a massive kind of a feat to have that many people troll the game though, to have it be nominated and win. So I don't know. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, that's what Tassi put out.
Yeah, it's interesting. It always feels like when Xbox, everyone wanted Starfield to win things, and it was almost like they make categories up to win certain things. Sometimes I don't understand that. That was something I didn't really get. But yeah, it is what it is. I gotta say, guys, outstanding show tonight. This is good to see everybody here. Good to kind of you take a week off from podcasting. It feels like it's a month off. It's weird. I don't know if you guys feel that way too. It's like you're sitting there, you're getting everything ramped up again, and you're like, oh my God, it feels like it's been forever. It's been 1 week off. 1 week off. Nonetheless, I do want to say thanks to the entire panel that was here tonight. I want to say thanks to the chat that's here. I want to say thanks to everybody that had well wishes over the holiday, writing me on Xbox, PlayStation, DMing me on Twitter. It was great to see everybody. Again, I know this sounds like a broken record. Again, it's just a one-liner. We are moving the show to Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern next week, and there on out. We're not going to be doing Friday nights for the foreseeable future. It'll be on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. CrossFire, I'll be doing that on Twitter, X now, if you will, on the community notes on YouTube, and I'll have something else on YouTube that just is basically reminding everybody that we're going to be starting on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Please let everybody know that watches the show, tweet it out, keep things going. I do want to go in reverse order and say thank you to these guys that came on the show. The great Kofi, the great creative Kofi. Kofi, I know it's been tough to get you on the show the past couple of weeks. And then with the holidays, that didn't make it any easier. But Kof, thanks for being here tonight, buddy, and let everybody know where they can find you.
Guys, as usual, you can catch me on Twitter at creative _ Kofi. Creative _ Kofi. I recently posted my review of East 10. If you're curious or a fan of Falcon, we don't know when the game's coming out in English, but I will be retweeting information as it comes out. Yes, Mooch, thank you for your patience. It has been several weeks. I'm kind of in a process of looking for a new job, so we'll see what happens. But I look forward to being on here with you guys again. So, J-Dub, B-Money, nice meeting you. Jez, great seeing you again. And TCMF, man, I remember chatting with you when we were on Thrifty's podcast a few months back. So, yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, great to have you, Kofi. Outstanding. The great Jez, you guys know him from the Gaming Grindhouse. Gaming Grindhouse is giving, they're trying to catch up with Brap. I mean, Brap has done a breakfast, lunch, and dinner Brap rant for the last 10 days. Jez goes, we've been gone for a couple days.
Catch me over the Gaming Grindhouse, Jez7780, and on Twitter as well. But yeah, just doing some videos, but yeah, it's tough to get back into it, man. And again, there's not a lot of news out too. It's been kind of dull. It's been gaming. Yeah, I've been gaming on everything pretty much.
No,
doing a lot of that Quest, dude. I've been playing a lot of the Quest games. They had some crazy sales.
Did you end up getting the Quest 3?
Yeah, and dude, I was playing freaking Halo VR and that thing. That was pretty crazy.
That's great to hear. Honestly, I was thinking about
I couldn't believe it.
With a couple of
Pretty
the
awesome.
gift cards I got, maybe I will go pick that up at Best Buy and check it out. I just, with PSVR2, I know it sounds crazy, but I've got so many games on there that I haven't even got to yet.
I
So,
know.
I mean, am I gonna take one headset off and run over to the other room, put the other one on? Probably not. So,
That's right.
You know, we got to juggle our time here. But Jazz, outstanding to have you, buddy. Great to start the 2024 year with you. Thanks for being here tonight, buddy. The great TCMF was with us as well. TC, who would have known? Who would have known that you brought your own hot sauce to CrossFire? No one would have seen that coming from miles away.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know personally. I didn't even know why that conversation got deep. I was trying to make a simple point of just awareness of Astrobot.
I love
then it got
man.
into a deep conversation.
That's all right.
But,
Hey, it made great conversation. So I appreciate you being Brap going in on it. I loved it. TC, let people know where they can find you. And thanks for being here already. This first show of 2024.
yeah, it was great being here. As usual, all platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X. It's all TCMF Games. Outside of YouTube, it's TCMF Games official. Everywhere else, TCMF Games. Thanks for having me on. It was a good conversation with everybody else as well.
Appreciate it, TC.
Was it Kofi, right?
Yes,
is the name?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be on Thrifty's podcast? Because he asked me to come on and
Yes.
sometime
He
in the
actually
future.
scheduled me for the 24th. I think I'm going to be on Wednesday the 24th.
Okay, then I know I'm going to probably be on one of those, so maybe we'll talk again then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Always great to talk games with you, TC. I appreciate it. Keep up the hard work that you're doing over on Twitter, aka X. Appreciate all the work you put in there, TC.
Thank you, guys.
The great B Money was with us as well tonight. B, I love your insight. Love your. It's funny because myself personally, I just think you are a true insider when it comes to some of the PlayStation news. You've been calling these things for years. It's just you say it so subtle. I'm listening. Just so you know, B, when you speak, I'm listening and taking notes. So, B, it's great to have you back on Crossfire. Hopefully, your schedule opens up for the remainder of the early parts of 24, because I'd love to have you back on. B, let people know where they can find you. And, of course, can't wait till you're back on the show.
Yeah, man, it was great to be here. It's been a long time coming. Finally opened up the schedule.
Yes, sir.
Things just kind of fell into place. So, great conversation tonight. And if you guys want to follow me, you can follow me at the same name, BMoney101, everywhere. All your favorite consoles, all your social medias, it's the same name. So hit me up if you want to talk gaming. I'm always down to do that. And once again, great show, guys. Appreciate the invite, Mooch.
Thank you, B. Appreciate you being here. And last but certainly not least, J-Dub, the great J-Dub. Talked to him a little bit over the holidays. I wish I got a chance to game and hang out with him a little bit more. But hey, guess what? We got all 2024 to do that. Jay, great to have you here tonight. Loved your intro. Loved all the spice you brought to the show as well, buddy. Let people know where they can find you. And of course, I can't wait till you return to the show as well, Jay.
Definitely had a great time. As usual, always have a great time when I'm talking to you guys. You guys can find me on Twitter. You don't have to look far. Just find your nearest angry Xbox guy, and he'll point the finger to where I'm at. Find me. You can follow me at JDubCity16. Hey, I'm always trying to keep you guys laugh in the great console war. But the console wars are over now. It's been over for a while, but I still enjoy dabbling. Let's get it, man. It's 2024. Let's have some fun.
That's right, Jay. No, I appreciate you being here. Always great when you're on the show. And guys, I do want to say again, thanks to everybody that was here. Please hit the like button as you kind of walk out of the room. Hit that subscribe button. Your name comes up in lights. And we'll see you next week. First time saying this, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I will be advertising all over on X the next 7 days and on YouTube. Guys, please spread the word. We'll see you next week. Very excited to do a Thursday show with you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Go out there, game. Do a little skiing. Maybe you're into hockey. Who knows what you're going to do. But get off the couch for a little while. Take a break from the gaming. Take a break from X. And go out and enjoy something. Then come back and play some games. By the way, shout out to the great Magnum Gaming who throws in a last second here. Super chases. In terms of PS5 Pro CPU being the same, people fail to understand that Sony is using proprietary tech to supplement what is offset. And the great Andy Hart says, I invested in a projector and screen over Xbox. Over Xmas. Absolutely love it, and it was absolutely the best move, and it's a shorter throw for the expense. Guys, I want to say sorry to cut both of those super chats short. They came in late, but I want to say thanks to you guys both. Magnum Visuals, thank you, buddy. You're probably catching the show a little bit later. But again, on the way out, please hit that like button, subscribe button, and we'll see you guys next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Peace and good night.